Well, not too far until it's arena time. This is the final day of the playoffs. We've got our top 8. We need to get that down to 6, though. Before we get to any elimination games, we begin in the upper bracket. We've got a big one. DarkZero and Virtus.pro, two teams that have looked quite exceptional at this 6 Invitational. One's 5-1, the other's 4-1. They're both basically two of the top 3 when it comes to attacking win rate as well at this event. We're in for, hopefully, one of the better games that we've had this 6 Invitational.
Yeah, both teams have been incredibly ruthless as we have a look back at the playoff bracket. Of course, VP seeded into the second round and arguably having one of the easier runs so far with a 2-0 victory over NIP. For DarkZero, it's been a little bit more of a grind for them, 2-0 over Liquid, and then obviously taking down their North American counterparts in SSG. Expecting this to be obviously a really competitive matchup. Obviously, no one goes home at the end of the day from this one, but it does make that run just a little bit hard. Win this, and you're one game away from the grand final.
Yeah, that's the main thing, and of course, you can see what's been transpiring down in that lower bracket as well. W7M SSG playing later today, and then on the B stream, we've got Team Bliss and G2. Really does kind of highlight some of those teams that in round 2 have been knocked out. Liquid, Wolves, Bleed having a good run, NIP, so some really good teams have made their way out of the tournament. So if you are obviously in that upper bracket, you probably don't want to come down to this lower bracket. The good news is, though, of course, for these 4 teams in the upper bracket, you go to main stage regardless. It's just a question as to where you play when you do get to the arena. So obviously a lot on the line, as you mentioned. You know, you win this, you're only then one best of 3 series away from the grand final at an SI. I mean, that really does kind of heighten the stakes in this kind of matchup. The other part of it too is really just form and momentum. You know, you got 2 teams, DZ 5-1. Obviously, they had a tremendous group stage where they were able to win 3 out of their 4 games. They lost that 1 game to G2, though, and that cost them top spot, hence why they had to play the extra game against Liquid in the upper bracket. Whereas for Virtus.pro, they also basically did the same kind of numbers. 3 wins, 1 loss, but that was enough to get them top spot. For obviously this DarkZero roster, right now, second best when it comes to attacking win rate at this tournament. First when it comes to planting. Clearly having the proficiency on the attack in a defender-sided meta is really setting these guys apart.
Yeah, personally, I haven't had an opportunity to cover DarkZero, and I'm sure like many, I had my reservations as to whether or not this new DZ project would work out. Of course, Nath, Olo in this roster, clearly having a huge impact thus far, and obviously they're looking to fly the flag for North America, unable to finish in the top 4 at Atlanta, and chasing former glory at the Charlotte Major. Big storyline as well, Canadian, able to win this 1 game away from the grand final and the opportunity to be the only player in Rainbow Six history to lift the hammer 3 times.
And could you imagine probably something that Pengu doesn't want to happen, maybe for the sake of selfish reasons? Let's go to Virtus.pro, a team that I've been actually quite fortunate to cover a couple of times now throughout this tournament. I've been severely impressed. You go back to obviously their first game against Liquid, they lost that 1-2, and it really did maybe highlight the inconsistencies for this roster, a roster that can have some really high highs and at times some low lows. And you can look at some of their results, 2-1 against Bleed. So that was a game in which they actually went on a 12-round winning streak over the course of 2 maps, really again highlighting how high they can go. Then they allowed Bleed back into that game, and it went all the way the distance to close out on that 3rd map. Obviously, they took down W7M, which at that point in the group stage, at that time, was arguably the best game that we had seen at 6 Invitational. That 2-1 match win against W7M for Virtus.pro evidently ended up topping their group with the way things went, and of course W7M have had a shaky SI in that group of death. So you go back to that Group C group and how many top teams were there. Well, they topped them all. And so therefore, they only had to play the 1 match in that semi-final in the upper bracket against NIP, 2-0 over them. And I mean, as we know, NIP then bombed out in the lower bracket pretty unconvincingly. So look, I think we've got basically 2 teams that haven't done much wrong so far at this event. Let's go to the maps though for this particular series, best of 3 as usual. And it is going to be Chalet, Bank, and Skyscraper for our 3 maps. Now, interestingly enough here, Bank is actually the preferential map for both of these 2 teams, at least in terms of what they like to play. For DarkZero, they obviously go Chalet first, but then Virtus.pro backing themselves in, thinking, okay, yeah, you guys don't mind Bank, but we want it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, both teams' picks are incredibly strong in their own regard, and given the form that they have heading into this tournament, probably expecting that Skyscraper to come into fruition. Unfortunately for Virtus.pro, Skyscraper has quite a bit of red in that column for them, and it's a map that they frequently ban out. So I suppose for Virtus.pro, they're going all in on the first 2 maps and hoping that they can conclude it, because if it does go to the 3rd, it's fair chance that DarkZero will be able to edge them out.
Yeah, and statistically as well, two teams that I think are very, very similar. They've both got the same entry percentage, which is in terms of success when they make their entry, 51%. Basically both as well, entry time, around that minute 25 to minute 29. So they both like that setup style. And again, they're both the top two teams when it comes to getting plants down successfully. 35% for DarkZero, 33% in second for Virtus.pro. So again, really highlighting. Now, mind you, there's some teams at this event that are as low as like 11 to 14%. So there's quite a big gulf there. The main separating factor for me, though, is on defense. Virtus.pro 5% higher on defense, but then DZ 4% higher on attack. These two teams are very difficult to split. Now, mind you, there's a lot of Bolo fans, there's a lot of DarkZero fans, so they go a little higher when it comes to the predictions on the socials. But do not get it twisted. This is a game. This is a series where two teams are meeting, and there's not much separating them.
Let's jump in though. Chalet looms, and it's Ying off the board first from Virtus.pro. We'll see how DZ elect to respond, and it's Dockerby. So two strong attackers taken down, especially for that execute style, that set up style that we're likely expecting from both of these particular rosters. Onto the defense now, and DZ followed up with Azami, and you would anticipate that VP will probably want to take down either the Valkyrie
Solace
or the Fenrir. Solace, I'd be a little bit more surprised, and we'll get into that if that ends up being the case. We'll wait and see.
Valkyrie is a good one.
It is the Valkyrie. Does again leave that Fenrir in play, and if they are going to play a setup style, it's going to be important that both teams clear that utility for the final execute.
Ying and Dockerby have been pretty clearly the most targeted bans when it comes to attacking operators at this event. We've even started to see Grim slip in every now and then, especially as the event has gone on. Speaking of it, Canadian straight onto it too in terms of the Grim. DarkZero attacking first. Chalet, when it comes to attacking win rate at 6 Invitational so far, pretty decent, 45%. Again, none of the maps at this event are over 50%. So it's kind of how close can you get to it in terms of attacking success. And for DarkZero, a team that is the second best attacking team at the tournament on a 45% attacking win rate, does kind of mean the onus is on probably DarkZero to start well here, considering what we've seen from them statistically. Maybe puts a little bit of pressure in terms of what Virtus.pro want to do defensively. Immediately they go to kitchen and dining to begin this. I imagine by the setup that they're bringing with the castle barricades and the R6, they will extend up above, of course, over towards office and bedroom.
And if you are just jumping in for this game to kick off, a reminder that this is not an elimination game. Winner goes through to the upper bracket final on the live stage. Loser will still play on the live stage as well, and I believe they'll be seeded against the winner of G2 and this later on, or maybe it's 77 MSSG. I'll get confirmation on that. Obviously, with how the bracket plays out.
It's been a very difficult bracket to kind of follow in terms of the inverted nature of it. Let's begin here. And yeah, I think the fact that this is not an elimination game does kind of mean the nerves are quelled a little bit. But there is still a lot on the line in terms of that upper bracket final, getting into the main stage in a really strong position as well. Then only being one best of 3 series away from said grand final does kind of put still a heavy emphasis on doing well in this match. You want to continue that form. And arguably speaking, as I've kind of mentioned, both teams have had a really good run at this SI. 5-1 for DZ, 4-1 for Virtus.pro. You don't really want to find your second loss this close to the main arena, to the main stage. So you really want to keep those good vibes going. Now, mind you, for DarkZero, there's been a lot of really good plaudits for Naif. I think he's been clearly a major standout. But I honestly think NJR is giving me the eye test. And every time that I've been able to kind of watch DarkZero, NJR has been a big, big factor for them. Obviously, Bolo's going to get a lot of credit, and he's got a lot of fans, and Canadian, etc. But I like what I've seen from NJR so far at this tournament. So keep an eye on him throughout this match for DarkZero.
Eyes on Pamba then, who's begun down low through main garage. May look to make a play up west main, but will just sit and lurk. Always able to catch Naif off guards. That's the Twitch taken off the board. And you think about the usefulness of the shock drones in this kind of meta with clearing traps like those F0 mines. That would definitely hurt DZ. Pamba now up west main and actually in towards the objective. Does he know there's one behind the table? Well, initially he doesn't, and punished. Traded though by Bolo, who follows up. Pasha, though, inside of kitchen, has a strong position. Canadian now in the 1 versus 4. And for DZ, his first attack has not been amazing.
Yeah, I mentioned it before as well. Defense for Virtus.pro has been a strength of theirs throughout this tournament. Really strong start. And a lot of the reason for that in that round was the horizontal nature of their defense. They didn't actually look to put everybody up above. They actually had good pressure on site, a couple of players over towards that west main hallway as well. I think even towards library stairs. So they clearly were able to deny any kind of fast push from DarkZero, cut that off completely. Really good opening engagements as well for Virtus.pro. Mind you as well for DZ to try and go direct there. Pretty good pacing for a team that at times can go into that more setup style focus and really try and maybe kind of work their way through the round. They opted to go a little bit faster there, maybe try and catch Virtus.pro off guard. Evidently doesn't work, not this time around. Really good start there from Virtus.pro. They obviously win out kitchen and dining, which is one of the stronger defensive sites on Chalet, and now we go down to basement.
So the Bandit in play then round 2, so Pasha likely looking to trick the walls as best as he possibly can. Keeping in mind though that very difficult on this side with the vertical pressure that the attack typically establishes. There's Bandit batteries though can be used on the rear walls, facing main garage, boiler as well, and in fact there is a foothold set up to impact trick that down below. Up above though, an extension from Virtus.pro, focus on denying entry in towards library, also some line of sight through office as well, and even dining occupied here by anything. So for DarkZero, if they want to go for a full map clear, it's going to be a bit of a grind. So we'll see if they look to attempt it. Keeping in mind that round number 1, the attack never really got off to a start.
No, it didn't. Obviously, they lost Nath early playing that Twitch. We didn't really get to see the shock drones get utilized. Hoping this time around for Canadian's sake that he can get involved. There's a lot of utility here. You've got the bulletproof cameras. You've got the discs as well as the shock batteries as well. Goo mines. You can get rid of the Fenrir F0 mines. So there's a lot that can be taken out here from Canadian. Obviously, we saw Nath lose his life over towards Mud early on, just trying to get into the map and the entry into Chalet. So clearly something that DarkZero do need to be mindful of if Virtus.pro are denying some of these entry positions. And clearly that's going to be the case on a basement site here as we get a lovely, nice static vision. And it's been a long time since we've seen any kind of drone bugs. You remember back in the day with the old mute drone bugs? There we go, fixed, all good. And in time as well for the Nitrous Alpha Pasha to hit the mark onto Nath. 2 rounds in a row where Nath has just not been able to enter the building. Really good defense from Virtus.pro denying these entry points. Pampazu was able to sneak in, got 1 traded though, and then back 2 by Canadian. So good crossfires here for DarkZero, and they're able to get themselves trophy control, but a slow swing gets punished. Bolo just not up for the task as always, was watching it, wants to finish him off with the goo mine, throws it at his location as he just leaves him sitting there. Minute 40 left. It's essentially a 3 versus 2 in favor of Virtus.pro.
Yeah, DarkZero finding it tricky to clear these roams currently. Halfway point round 2 and always in a predicament. Shot through the wall, or at least an attempt from DarkZero, but it doesn't quite land. Always tries to cross, caught on the half wall, taken down. So some good work from Canadian who made that
We'll get the
push
revive now.
through trophy. The revive should be on, and Bolo brought back up. DZ now at the 3 versus 2, and they make this work.
Yeah, and JR's low, so is Bolo. Canadian has taken a bit of damage, and Shepard still has 2 impacts. Obviously, the Warden can also deny those flashes available through NJR and Bolo. And while they've got the numbers, or at least they had, remember, of course, yeah, it doesn't take that much there for Shepard to get that kill onto NJR. Comes a 2 versus 2. Bolo gets a second chance after being knocked down earlier. He has been revived. EE1D available too as well on that Lion. A couple of flashes still, but again, you're going up against the Warden of Dan. 40 seconds remaining in the round though for DarkZero. They've still got a little bit of time. There's 1 of 2 flashes down from Bolo. There's the second to follow. Dan, of course, sitting. The glasses does its job, and Dan will get the kill on the drop. Now makes it very difficult for Canadian. Well done for Virtus.pro. On-site defense is strong. Bit of a messy round through the mid-round with the trades that we saw from both teams, but ultimately successful for VP.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be an opportunity there for DarkZero to bring back the 3 versus 2, but considering the amount of utility and time they had remaining, it was always going to be a challenge. Here's a look back at that room clear. Virtus.pro doing a decent job in wasting time, and then DarkZero forced to filter through late into the objective, having to then flash out a Warden, a pillar with the shield. That is obviously not going to be a favorable engagement for the North Americans. So good work from VP to kick things off, and we talked about how DarkZero, a strong attacking team in the context of this event, on a map that is quite strong for the attack in the context of the meta and the event itself. Not off to the greatest of starts. So this is impressive from VP, and we'll see if they can keep the ball rolling.
I mean, to be fair, 2 rounds in, firstly, but it is also DarkZero's map pick, and they have been the 2nd best attacking team in the tournament on a map where attacking has been quite good, even despite the fact that it's been super defensive sided in this meta. Virtus.pro, though, 63% defensive win rate, not too much of a surprise. Obviously, you think back to that opening round, the West main push, not really successful for DarkZero. From there, the round then crumbles apart. The last round, though, was complete 50-50. Could have easily won that round. Unfortunately, yeah, the Warden was still alive, really strong position. one round at a time mentality, though. And of course, for both of these two teams, neither of them really suffering too much in terms of defeat. Both only dropping one series. It was an 0-2 loss. DZ back in groups against G2. And vice versa as well for Virtus.pro. That 1-2 loss to Team Liquid, team who's obviously not even here anymore. That was back in the very early portions of the group stage. Virtus.pro certainly a team that, yeah, can look really good at times and then can start to drop the ball. And that's when DarkZero will have to pounce at some point in this series. Don't know when, but I imagine VP will probably let them back in. It is early days, though, and Nate with the Boogie Auto Breacher on that library balcony exterior can make a very quick entry with the throw in, along with the vert angles that can be opened up. And Red King does not get the kill onto joysticks. Eventually, though, from Pambazoo, but traded library stairs. That's from Pasha. But eventually doesn't even get that kill. And Bolo was able to also then get the kill onto Always. Pasha now pushing into Piano, wants to clear this position out on the balcony. And the response from Virtus.pro is quite swift in their approach.
Pretty wild that Pamba was permitted in that area. Shouldn't be an area of the map where VP can allow him, but nonetheless, it will be confirmed in the end. So a 3 versus 3. Both Dan and Bolo low on HP. Power positions, though, still held by the defense. Pasha rotates over towards box, but that position still being held by Nafe outside on the rappel. NJR doesn't find the pinch, so the Oryx will survive. Plenty of time remaining once again for the attack. Very swift on the entry from DarkZero. Virtus.pro, though, keeping pace.
Yeah, the issue right now for DarkZero is the fact that all three players are outside of the building. No one's got a really good foothold. Sure, getting some pressure in towards Library, a vault in towards Piano is successful from Bolo. I think it was a goo mine that he stepped on. Still has all 4 Rotero charges. Doesn't need them, though. NJR from big window into the mezzanine. Gets that kill onto Pasha. Opens up library stairs. So for the second round in a row, DarkZero have got themselves into a 3 versus 2 scenario. But again, like the last round, they're both 2 players low and still got a warden to deal with. So a couple of flashes available through Nate and Bolo. Can they at least now utilize the time, the vert advantage that they have, open up these sight lines, and make it a little bit easier? Oh, a bit of damage onto Shepard. Now really evens things up in terms of the health. They can't just go for a hatch drop, though. Barstock has not been cleared.
Challenging here for DarkZero despite the double stack backstore. No hard breach. So how will DarkZero look to dislodge these defenders? It's Shepard with the shotgun. Good for one. Dan watches the drop down but gets slammed by Nafe. Now it's all on Shepard. Position known yellow ping, and DarkZero will claim their first attacking round.
Yeah, really smart from Nate there with the hatch drop at the right time in terms of the fact that they started to push over towards backstore, try and clear out those 2 players. Once they had the information there for DarkZero, then they could understand, okay, if we've got one pushing in from the bar side, I'm going to then drop the hatch over towards games. Really good little pinch from DarkZero. Bolo never even really got involved in that round as well. So it was more like a 2 versus 2 when it was all said and done. Bit of a strange round, though, with the way it did kind of play out early on. That was a nice little shot as well in terms of the acute angle. Nate with the double to close it out, and DarkZero certainly get a deserved round. Haven't necessarily been bad to begin here. A couple of moments here or there, and Virtus.pro looked really strong on defense. That time, though, DZ were able to break them down. Despite the fact they didn't even really have a whole lot of map control. To be fair, it's bar games, probably don't need much.
Over to Dining then, round 4. Castle in play from Virtus.pro. Looking to layer some utility and probably stall out the low potential here from DarkZero. We've seen it across a couple of rounds now. Probably most notably in the last round with Pamba being allowed quite swiftly into that top library stairs position. Probably an attempt from VP to not allow that to be the case. Maybe shut down some of the lines of sight that can be established from outside as well, because we know that those are really powerful. Cutting down rotations here on Chalet. So we'll see where Shepard, of course, employs those and how VP look to play around them. Aussie as well in play, so some information denial on the board, but DarkZero with plenty of tools of their own to gather info. Think about that Grim Lion combo. For me, that's probably the most ideal way to play around the Grim, is layer it with the Lion. And it can sometimes make it a real challenge for the defense to adapt and change their positions on the fly, as is often required at the moment.
Yeah, and last time on this side, DarkZero opted for a bit more of a fast-paced approach through West Main, go for a more direct hit. Virtus.pro, though, were pretty much ready for that. I think they actually only had like maybe 2 up above. Like, Virtus.pro aren't just like 5 stacking up above and allowing sight to be hit quite quickly on a horizontal take. I've seen, I think it was G2. G2's really abused these kind of vert holds on Chalet a couple of times throughout this tournament, where they just go so fast, open up, hit sight, get the plant down. Virtus.pro, though, really putting an emphasis on making sure the library stairs in their control. Just the ability on this side to be able to rotate up, down to below. obviously makes it very, very strong. They do give up that solar rotate, obviously, over towards trophies. So they need somewhere on the map that they too can rotate down, and that will be library stairs. That'll be that library side. And JR on the rappel outside of bedroom. And a couple of players be able to utilize that position and make it work as the Quan Hive launcher gets utilized now by Canadian. This allows the entry as well in towards Solar, and here comes Nave. So far, so good. And he's able to put the pressure onto Joystick. Got that kill. Dan, though, elsewhere got Pamper Zeus. They lose the hard bridge. Not necessarily needed, though. Not at this point, especially if they do get that vert control. And so far, it's a good start here. Again, it's kitchen dining. So you do eventually have to make your way down below.
Pasha's position is revealed off the back of the drone. There's no pinch, though, from behind here from DarkZero. Instead, a heavy focus through Solar. That said, there may not be an incentive to push forward and can just claim the control they have and transition that in towards the objective. But Dan is able to throw a spanner into the works. Bolo falls, and the Lion will play no further part in the round. DarkZero will continue to march forward. I don't know how much information they have at the moment. Still 6 drones. Nath exposing himself perhaps to a trade attempt. Although up above, he is able to find Shepard and escape. So perhaps a slight misplay there from Virtus.pro, not aggressing on the sledge. Nonetheless, though, it's now a 3 versus 3, and they have info on site.
Last bit of droning as well from DarkZero now to just try and find where these players are. Canadian gets the kill onto Pasha. The Nitrocell in response from Dan is ineffectual despite the yellow ping. Nice long range of shot over towards NJR. Always trying to get involved as well. Time will become a factor, and if the hatch drops come through, well then obviously a chance still here for Virtus.pro, playing sight with good long angles that they've got established. Dan's going for that flank up above, and it will catch one off guard. That's Nape still up. Canadian's going for the plant. He's being watched here. NJR, I think, has got this one covered, and does. Nicely done from NJR. Really well worked from DarkZero. 2 rounds, 2 attacking rounds early on, and so far a strong start on Chalet.
Unfortunate there for Dan. He had to play it perfectly up above and find Nave. Then would have been perhaps an opportunity for him to deny the plant in time, or at least initiate a retake for Virtus.pro. But doesn't go his way, and DarkZero, again, they get enough map control. Nave gives them the license to vert and find a kill right here. And then a good transition in towards the objective to get the plant down and deny the retake attempt. So it's back-to-back rounds for DarkZero, and VP will rotate down below.
Yeah, and remember as well, DarkZero is the best team at this tournament when it comes to getting plants down successfully. 35% win rate in terms of, well, not win rate, sorry, but more so plant rate.
Win conditions, yeah.
Yeah, so a big win condition for them. And so far, and when you go back to those first 2 rounds that Virtus.pro were able to win, they were able to deny DarkZero really any kind of chance of getting that plant down. And so they don't have to worry too much about that retake scenario. But in response, DZ have been able to really switch up their play. Obviously doing a really good job now of really transitioning their focus towards these sites, making it difficult for VP. Virtus.pro haven't really been as effectual in getting these early kills and denying entry. They're a little bit more stagnant back on site. So now it feels like with 2 rounds to go in the half, it's probably back on Virtus.pro to see if they can turn things around. After a really solid start, DarkZero have responded. Well, what's the response to the responding DarkZero?
That's quite a convoluted sentence.
It works though.
Oh, yeah. We'll see if this works though. Hard breach, Snowmobile. Pasha unable to really deal with that, do all too much in the bandit. We saw before he was peppering those batteries, especially on reinforcements off-site, to help fortify the roam attempt from Virtus.pro. DarkZero played into it, and we'll see if they're dragged into it this time around. I would anticipate as much. Interesting composition, Capital in play, so Canadian can use those bolt probably for the execute. Bolo can use his air jabs to cut off the retake attempt. And with the Flores to help clear util on site, there's every world in which DarkZero could be far more direct on their approach.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why DarkZero have got main breach opened up and then rotate, it's more the perceived pressure. They're not going to play through it straight away, and it does give them an avenue later in the round. Now they'll turn their attention to a roaming VP. Obviously, a couple of players up above. Pasha over towards Pieta, and now the library hallway, someone to really be dealt with in that top floor scenario defensively for VP as he continues to run around. And this Dan actually finds the opening kill onto NJR. What that kind of angle? That must have been super aggressive from NJR. Down below. Surprising, because I really thought DarkZero would opt to try and clear up above, but he does get caught. So far, so good. Dan, 5-2, playing the warden well. More kills as well. DarkZero opting to go a little bit more aggressive here. Not try to play that roam game style, but it does not work, does not pay dividends, and there is that response from Virtus.pro. Again, similar to the opening 2 rounds. That on-site defense is just so strong. If they don't lose members early, if they've got numbers up, they are a very strong, stalwart defense to try and push through, and DarkZero just found nothing.
Yeah, Virtus.pro displaying that if they're able to hold power positions and aren't under immense amounts of pressure, they would be able to hold the line, win the kills required, and then in doing so, convert the round for the team. Opening pick there from Dan was very clean, and then he basically just held that line, ensured that Boiler Room was not contested by DarkZero. Of course, if it is contested and DZ, the attacker, able to get control, they can spearhead a default plant, even with that shield standing. But yeah, perhaps the timing there in the sync from the attack not great. Virtus.pro showing that they can bunker down.
Yeah, and I like the response, though, especially bar games, DarkZero. So you're kind of thinking, oh, Virtus.pro are good on site. Really good on that on-site defense, bunkered down. So what can we do to maybe bring that? They were originally looking at that Glaz combo, which I kind of like with the Capital, extra smokes. Really does make that Glaz very powerful in either clearing out library or site itself down below. Instead, they just opt for a little bit more conventional, the Lion, the Grim, you know, pretty normal displacement, dislodgement kind of operators, especially coupled with the Capital. It does kind of suggest to me, though, that DarkZero may opt to go a little bit more aggressive again towards site. How much clearing that they will do, not too sure. Do have the Twitch in terms of Pamperzoo if they want to get rid of some extra utility. But otherwise, looking at their spawns, it seems like a pretty heavy focus towards this library side.
Initial drone work from Bolo to clear up above. Also focus down below here from DarkZero. That may allow them to apply more pressure in towards backstore. And we saw that VP, especially late in the round last time, looked to fortify that particular position. Here is Pamba on the shock drones. And we'll be able to track what kind of information he can gather and maybe util he can clear. Although I'm guessing it will be relatively limited. That's always on the bot library stairs position. And with those goo mines in tow, he can do a really good job in denying that lurk potential down below, which the likes of Pamperzoo may elect to try and go for.
Yeah, again, DarkZero with the operator lineup, they've got a really good way of flushing out positions, but if those positions are being held by Virtus.pro and then moving around, you've got the Oryx, the Warden doesn't sit still, then that can kind of deny a little bit of what DZ is trying to bring here. So curious to see how Virtus.pro are opting to play this round. Like Shepard's sitting on the bomb chassis inside of games. Like that's how, you know, moving around that he is being. And that means he can't just sit in towards backstore because he knows he'll get incendiaried, he might get smoked out. Obviously the Hive launcher now being utilized here by Canadian. So VP are actually playing this well. They're like holding a lot of off-angle positions that wouldn't necessarily be as cleared. And look at Dan, how aggressive, swinging big window, despite the bees buzzing inside of his face. Drone right in front of him as well. He'll get rid of that one. Only 4 now remaining for DarkZero. They do find the opening kill, though. Response doesn't come through from Dan. It's actually Bolo that gets the kill onto Joystick. And Nafe is going in for the plant over towards the half-wall default. Does Dan even know this? He can't even stop it. Yes, again! Oh, just in time from Dan. 8-2 on the Warden. DarkZero cannot stop him. The plant does not go down. And suddenly now it's a recovery mission.
Pamba with the shotgun. As DZ look to recover the round. Dan storming through the flames to deny that attempt from the attack. Now Pamba, an awkward fight up above. Can he link up with NJR? They do. So a 2 versus 2. 30 seconds, 1 Selma. But they need to flush out Dan, and this will be a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, hatch drop is pretty much a no-go at this point. Dan is just well primed in his position. Oh, what an angle! Oh, okay! A little open hole in towards backstorm. Pamperzoo takes the time. He didn't have much of it to flank and go for that kill. It's down to always in a 1v2. Pamperzoo! What a turnaround! The dynamic duo for DarkZero. And it is a successful recovery mission despite the collapse at the default half wall. Scrappy round, but well played from DZ to not give up on said round. Found another avenue, found another option. And they get themselves a 3rd round to close out the half. 3-3 scoreline. And really highlighting again how close these two teams are.
Dan and Pamba, the stars of the show in that previous round. What a play from Dan to be able to clear the plant cover, rush through the flames, and then find this 2nd kill. Understandably so. No one from DarkZero able to initially trade that, but then Pamba plucks 1 with the pistol, then the shotgun up close for the 2nd and final kill.
I think the fact that in that instance, VP still had a player up in library, and you probably want to get a bit of vert there to really clear out, then push down below. They were able to then trap that player, pinch, get the double kill. They knew that Kit was in a good position. Ironically, at half wall default, that's fine. That's always a even third backup option if required. So they knew they could probably have the time to go for those kills. Really well played and executed from DZ. Virtus.pro now, the response from them now has to come in terms of attacking as we switch halves. DC go onto the defense, of which hasn't probably been their best strong suit. Again, attack for DarkZero has really been what has set them apart, I think, at this tournament, especially in a defender-sided meta. Now, 58% defensive win rate compared to their 55% attacker win rate is quite strange that we don't see that very close number difference, whereas you look at VP, there's a whole 12% difference. Their defense is far stronger than their attack. Again, a reminder that this is the map pick of DarkZero as well, so good signs from both teams to begin. Hard to really predict who's going to take it from here as we go into the second half.
So the Brava Twitch combo then from Virtus.pro. Canadian will have a big role to play here in round number 7 on the Solace. He needs to do his best to deny the Clutch drones and the Shock drones from those respective operators on the attack. Because if they're able to hack and or destroy Fenrir mines and Maestro cams, that will significantly weaken the defense here from DarkZero, who love playing around that information game and will be reliant upon that utility.
Ooh, nice opening kill through big window for Always. Captures out Canadian on the Soul as being aggressive, as you typically want to be on that operator. Forward facing at the front contact, trying to get rid of those drones early, wanting to find a couple of kills. Pampersu, though, over towards Ego Belt. Can he find the trade? He overswings, expecting in the corner, but Always is in the off-angle position. Really well played there from Always, expecting that trade to come through from an aggressive DarkZero. Punishes that play. It's a two-player advantage now for VP. Drop down from joystick, and they get themselves closer towards site eventually. Of course, basement, another hatch available to eventually drop through. Blow up the Vulcan canister. And right now, for DarkZero, it's a question of do you bunker back down on site or opt to do what Pampersu tried to do and go for a counterpunch?
Well, Naif is still in bus, but will have the ability to drop down the stairs if required, but may instead elect to lurk and perhaps even regress into dining. As you can see, though, uncertainty based on his body language. Not entirely sure where these members of VP are, and joystick very much ready and waiting. Or a retake attempt from the defense. Drone to go deep then from Pasha, and one spotted blue. VP, I'm presuming, off the back of clearing that Koyo canister earlier, we're going for that wine cellar plant just right of the breach.
Really showing the respect here to DarkZero that they know they can't just rush in, get the job done. Capital as well, sending out the incendiary bolts. Smokes, gone 6, blow that up. Pasha now comes to plan a default. Bees are buzzing as well. It should deny any kind of push from DarkZero. Bolo can't really make a step forward. Nice kills over towards that front door exit as well from Always onto Nave. Suddenly NJR in a 1 versus 5. The clutch ability factor of NJR is pretty good, but in a 1 versus 5, it's always going to be quite difficult. And a really, really well-worked round from Virtus.pro from start to finish, and it's flawless. And a really good sign for them that they can certainly deal with the DZ defense. And attacking round early here on Chalet in the second half gets them back into an advantage, 4-3.
One of the big win conditions for the attack is clearing that Solace, especially again if you're going to lean into the 2 specialist drone operators of the Brava and the Twitch. Solace a fantastic counter in locating and clearing out that utility. So if you can find Canadian, as it was in that particular instance early on into the piece, not only do you give yourself the advantage, but in terms of the util game, it's huge. Canadian clearly just caught off guard, then forces the play from Pambo, who also got caught off by the off angle that was held by VP. From that point onwards, pretty simple transition. Joystick with the presence of mind to ensure that the retake attempt was not going to work out for DarkZero, and all in all, a really solid attack.
We head over to Bar Games now for DarkZero, opting away from basement, trying to change things up a little bit. They bring the mirror as well now. Nave making that R-stock position even more fortified. In terms of the response, though, from Virtus.pro, again, a pretty similar lineup to what we actually saw from DarkZero on their own attack. We are really seeing this Grim get utilized, has become quite a big part of the attacking meta, coupled with the Lion especially. And it's a double drone game play as well from Virtus.pro. Dan and Always bringing the Roteros and the Shock drones, respectively speaking. Couple of smokes, a lot of flashes, really good utility lineup as well for BP. We're in kind of a vengeful push. Dan has been able to get all the way in, almost pop that window. We're talking about maybe 1 second here or there. Cheeky from Dan. Shock drone did get taken out.
Yeah, good work there from NJR. Presence of mind to protect the mirror window and body block it, making it very challenging for Dan. We'll see how Virtus.pro then look to pivot. It will probably be important that Shepard keeps the Salmor in the pocket. He might be able to use that late to dislodge that position. Could also like to use one as well on the wall facing into bar stock, but Canadian, with obviously a lot of experience and game sense, will feel that pressure or feel that read and deny that. Oh, that's good from Dan though.
Oh, okay.
Canadian didn't anticipate that.
Wow.
And this bar stock position now exposed.
Yeah, and then there's probably the little differences here now for Virtus.pro. Can they capitalize off that, right? Job done, opened up that mirror window. Obviously, DarkZero know that, okay, well, that's open now. Bar stock's no longer going to be the fortified position that we would have liked it to be. Canadians, obviously, as you said, got that game sense to be able to probably still play for that position fine. Ideally, you want to hold on to it for as long as possible. The Nitro Cell from bar stock over towards half-wall default, obviously, is quite strong. Virtus.pro, though, very much going for this full sweep across. We saw them open up Snow. Now they're going over towards Solar and Bedroom. Joystick on the rappel in. Maybe anticipating DarkZero to get really aggressive on the roam, which, for some reasons, they certainly are. Nave all the way down below. Bolo's still around Library Stairs. So far, the issue for me for Virtus.pro here is time. 60 seconds left, and it's still a 5 versus 5. Pasha, only just now, off of some ping information towards top Library Stairs, is starting to try and flush out Bolo.
Yeah, good flash onto Bolo, forces him down. But will time become the enemy of the attack as it begins now to really trickle down? Players on site not under a whole lot of pressure. And the attack's still relatively static. Joystick will show some initiative, however. With the Bailiff, he creates some vert in towards that B objective. But how will the rest of the attack form around this? Control up above now, of course. 30 seconds, though, on the clock, and I can't help but feel that this is going to be a very challenging conclusion to the round for VP.
20 seconds left. Shepard has the kit, so keep an eye on where he's going to be playing in terms of trying to get that plant down. Right now, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Again, the time, though, a massive factor. Drop down from Shepard. Is this going to be a bar plant? It very well might. Makes his way in very slowly, crouching in, and goes for plant behind said bar. No trade yet. DarkZero can't really get out of bar stock because of Dan's angle. Great shot from NJR. The plant goes down. Pampersu came in on the flank. Late, though, in the piece, and Canadian wants to get straight on it. But Pasha's got an angle from above, through the hatch. He's able to watch this. This is a real retake scenario now for DarkZero. They need to go above. Someone has to go above. But probably all of them have to go above. Got to get moving, and Canadian keeps trying to just get on the kit. Double stack over towards Fireplace Stairs. One down, NGR back up, 20 seconds. Guys are going to get moving, and they should know where Pasha is. They are, indeed, of full understanding as to where Pasha is. Really well worked from DarkZero, and they get the counter defuse in the end, 4-4. But my goodness, there were some worrying signs. Canadian kept trying to just get on it. They could never really find a good position because of the vert angles from up above. And the fact is, that was a real scrappy mess, probably from both teams towards the conclusion of that round. But nevertheless, DarkZero understood the mission. They had to go up above. They had to get the retake from above. Did so successfully. Virtus.pro will probably feel like they've let that round slip away.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a strange plant position, not one that we commonly see from the attack. And that's probably why when Pamba rounded the corner, he didn't initially see where the plant was going down right there. If he had have and he pre-fired it, every chance in which he would have been able to actually deny the plant going down. Of course, he didn't. And then we entered the post. DarkZero had to clear up above. And despite maybe the initial read being a little bit slow, of course, able to hit the res, able to double stack that Fireplace Stairs position, and landing some really nice shot on the two remaining members of Virtus.pro who invested in the vert, but couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, and I think for DarkZero as well in that round, probably the kind of round that they needed a little bit. Virtus.pro have been looking really, really good over the last few, but DZ playing a couple of off-angle positions on site. They never really got cleared from above. Obviously, though, bar eventually was a bit of a weakness because of that double stack in towards bar stock, and you could really see the hive launcher being used, making it so difficult to get out of that position. NJR again, though, in the clutch, another good player. We've seen him have super high impact kills at this tournament. Might not be the most rated player in terms of the actual number of kills, but I think a very high impact typically. Also, Pampersu with that flank. He was like, I think 1 or 2 seconds off of being able to deny the plant. on that eventual flank as well early on. That certainly helped for DarkZero. So even when that plant went down for VP, didn't really matter too much because DarkZero then had the numbers. So 4-4 scoreline. I think rightfully so. Two teams that so far, again, been really difficult to separate. And I imagine this is a storyline that should continue for the remainder of this series the whole way through. I'd be very surprised if one, really pulls away. Dining again into the 9th round. DarkZero opting to get aggressive on that Solus Canadian. Again, we saw earlier on in this half, he lost his life a little early on the Solus. As expected, though, of course, you need to be aggressive. You're looking to get rid of those drones. 4 drones have already been taken out. Over towards Library Stairs, holding a key pillar in terms of a position on this map.
A huge emphasis inside of Office here from DarkZero, with the lines of sight that they have facing down below and towards the objective.
Well,
Canadian, once again, falls early into the piece. That will, again, bolster the ability of Virtus.pro to gather information. Fortunately, it is the Brava traded out, so I suppose, in one way or another, not awful for DZ, although still not ideal. Joystick on the solo, Repel, seeing if maybe he can apply pressure in towards that position. Minute 20 now on the clock. Pasha will come alongside, and this is a pretty typical play that we see at the moment. The Hive launcher to create a bit of space and prevent the defense from denying this Repel in.
Yeah, really difficult. You don't really want to push through. Pampazoo, though, good angle, holding Trophy Stairs. I'm not sure if Pasha was aware that Pampazoo was holding this close angle. He gets the kill, denied entry, and especially as the Hive launcher has been used, running out of charges, in fact, gone now for Joystick, makes it really annoying for Virtus.pro that they can't really flush out some of these positions, especially Closet, which is what Nafe is currently holding. They would have liked to have been able to clear that out with said Hive launcher, can no longer. And now down a player as well. Incendiary from Shepard. Well, Pampazoo hasn't really been cleared. He's been holding the same position anyway. That bolt basically has done nothing. Oh, there's 3 in the round. Pampazoo, a big difference maker here for DarkZero on the defense, making sure that that solo push from Virtus.pro was not going to happen. Getting 3 very important kills, holding down the portion of the map where VP wanted to enter from. Down to just Shepard, and always 10 seconds remaining, and always getting shot at straight away. Understanding that there's one looking at his angle through the foothold, and that's NJR, who still knows he's behind the barricade. He should be good for a second to close this one out. Indeed he is. Again, more high-impact kills from NJR to win the round for DarkZero. And for the first time maybe here on Chalet, just starting to edge Virtus.pro a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of starts for the defense. Again, unfortunate for Canadian, the first to fall. However, the counterplay was really nice. Good position held from Pamba, and that power position just wasn't unlocked by Virtus.pro. The utility required was a little bit late into the piece and didn't even quite land on the mark. They had to clear up above. A huge vertical presence from DarkZero with lines of sight in towards the objective meant that Virtus.pro almost certainly did have to clear it. Fortunately, they couldn't connect the dots. They'll call a tactical timeout in response. Now trailing 4-5.
Yeah, and indeed, the first lead now for DarkZero. So that kind of eye test has been met rightfully so. 3 of the last 4 rounds. So you're starting to get that vibe that DarkZero themselves are getting a little bit of that control here on this game of Chalet. VP are good enough that they're not going to go down without a fight, for sure, as they take this time out to talk things over, heading into the 10th round for what feels like an important round. But Pampazoo was the standout, at least in that one. 3 kills over towards the solo side, making sure Trophy Stairs was under lock and key, and probably needed to keep that position in check, considering they did lose Canadian over towards Library Stairs really early on in the piece. Just meant that in terms of those rotate options, when you're trying to play that vert up above kitchen, dining, inside office and bedroom, you need at least one of those, either Trophy Stairs or Library Stairs. They lost the Library Stairs, but obviously Pampazoo did his job over towards solo side. 5-4, the lead for DarkZero now established for the first time here on Chalet for what is, of course, their map pick. Can they look to close this out? Pampazoo now on the Vigil. Why not? I think the Vigil license has been well and truly earned after that last round.
Yeah, again, we'll see if that Jackal and Grim info gathering combo for the attack will provide value. Amber certainly has earned the license to run around here on the Vigil. His primary goal will be to try and waste as much time as possible. Eyes on Bolo now. Only 3 kills for him so far. Been a solid event, still with a positive rating despite coming back from retirement and not having all the time in the world to prepare for this event. I know DZ did bootcamp, especially with Nave jumping in as well, but there were big question marks as to whether or not they'd be able to make it work. Successful so far, though, for DarkZero. And now expectation on them to do well at this event.
Yeah, when you get this deep into the tournament, Canadian still so fortunate to be alive. That was about to be the third round in a row that Canadian is going to go down early on the solos. But look at the drone economy. Well done, right? Virtus.pro's only got 3 drones remaining at the 2-minute and 10-second mark. So you need to be aggressive on that solos. You can't just be sitting on site. And Canadian's obviously the one that has to take those fights and has to make sure he tries to stay alive while getting rid of these drones. Low on health for the remainder of the round, so now obviously can't get too overly aggressive from here on out, but job done. Virtus.pro making the entry in as Dan over towards piano side. Of course, this is a basement site, but they are going for that top floor clear, utilizing the Jackal to help facilitate that.
Still remnants of the roam here, though, from DarkZero.
There's 2 drones left. They're going to have no info on site.
Yeah, with Pampa falling off. Canadian, though, is still inside of bar, so that's something to keep our eyes on. You can see the line through the wall, the outline. With the drone economy low! Canadian's position should not be known, but Shepard will still hit a very clean shot through the front door to give his team the advantage. Next step will be clearing some utility, clearing key positions. Boiler room here being held by NJR with the shotgun up close. This could be a challenge. Pamba's been given an opportunity, though, to re-aggress, and if he can time this flank well, there's an opportunity for him to catch VP off guard.
Between the work the Canadian was able to do on the Solus, along now with Pampazoo on the Vigil, this is going to be quite interesting to see for Virtus.pro. Not really a whole lot of information, just forcing that swing onto NJR, and they do get the down always. Despite the smoke, despite the obscuring of the vision, he does get that kill. Opens up that boiler position for Virtus.pro. Up above, Pampazoo on the Vigil, just caught napping. Dan was watching for the flank. And it's fallen apart defensively for DarkZero. Virtus.pro have been able to just slice them apart on this particular site. It's all down to Bolo. There's 2 for good measure to make it a 1 versus 3. But he's low on health, in a difficult position. Rotates away, trying to see if he can catch one on the vert. Can he make it a 3rd? No, he can't. Always up close. Bolo, for just a brief second, maybe thought he could make something miraculous happen. But Virtus.pro shut it down. What a start, though, to the round for them. Offensively, they dealt with Canadian, despite the fact that they lost a lot of drones. Eventually dealing with Pampazoo, despite the fact that he was looking to flank. Everything said in that round that it was going DZ's way. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Virtus.pro just get a 4K.
It's really impressive that VP were able to bring that round back, despite the drone economy looking so poor. Don't know how much of that, of course, was facilitated by Canadian. We don't have a Solus cam in the corner where we can see every single drone that he's spotting out.
I would love that. I need like a little stack counter.
But I'm assuming he played a pivotal role. Unfortunately, they did die. Really nice opening kill from Shepard for VP. And then they had the systems and the set play available to go for that wine hit. Yeah. I'm sure that Pamba was denied any opportunity to retake with the flank watch in play. And the rest of the team then collapsing on site. 5-5 the scoreline. And this match has very much been a back and forth.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah, the biggest lead of this match was actually 2-round lead to Virtus.pro to begin after the first 2 rounds. Since then, it's been either equal scoreline or a 1-round lead. Well, one of these 2 teams is about to get map point here on Chalet. Virtus.pro on the verge of maybe taking the map pick away from DZ if they can win this round, buying a second attacking round in a row. Canadian once again on that Solus, and well, whenever you play that Solus, you will get the plaudits for if the drone economy of the attacking team is squandered. To be fair, we saw him running around. I think you can go with good measure that he's a big reason as to why the drone game for Virtus.pro has clearly been affected. You can see obviously the work here firsthand from this POV. I think that drone's going to get away from him. Oh, just squeaked by into the door. It does track it down. But this is also where it's quite difficult. Look at the movement here of the Solus and the way that a Solus will typically play. Moving around, you're so focused on these drones, it's very easy to then take a bit of a step and then suddenly, oh, a window's open and you're now spotted and you get killed. And that's why a lot of the Soluses at times can be that first death.
The nature of Chalet with those exterior windows means they can be tricky to rotate back towards side. But it looks like Canadian's been able to achieve that now, and Pamba also will make his way back. Perhaps to join the likes of Bolo here on Mezzanine. As for VP, though, what have they been able to achieve in the round? They're still double droning over towards bedroom. And they'll look to probably chip away at that map control. Next in line, likely Bolo. Does have a deployable shield to play behind, at least for now. Rotero from Always. And this is a key little part of the round. If he's able to clear the shield, and he is, Bolo doesn't turn around and clear it in time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's got two very big angles that he needs to watch there. Obviously from the library, from the piano side, and then also down below main entrance. But yeah, it does allow that shield to go down, really hindering that position of the mezzanine. But two reasons. One, you don't have the shield now facing towards that hallway position, but then also down below, Vert has been opened up eventually. It can go both ways too, especially if BP opt to go in towards bar. Canadian trying to get aggressive over towards West Main, still trying to get rid of these drones. 5 on the board this time for Virtus.pro. So BP's done a much better job. Understanding the Solus is a huge factor in play the last couple of rounds. So clearly putting a large emphasis on keeping those drones alive. Bolo, though, sensing the pressure. While double swing on his position, not much more he could really do. He got essentially hunted down, but they lose the Warden. At this point in the round, 35 seconds left, and now there's no Warden on the board. What can Canadian do inside of Dining? He's the flank option now.
Yeah, double smokes from Dan, triple flash from Pasha. So losing that Warden could hurt big time for DZ. 20 seconds. Pasha should be caught off guard. Canadian. But he has a read. Doesn't matter. Canadian wins that fight.
That's absolutely huge. Now he can retake in as well from piano side going in towards library. If BP still have members up above, they should be wary though. And the swing onto Canadian does come through from the mezzanine. Very low. Pings towards library stairs. The F not mine as well. But DZ have found kills on site and time has run out for Virtus.pro. Canadian was a nuisance. And those on site were stalwart in their defense for DarkZero. Map point for DZ on Chalet.
Now, we may have only seen, quote-unquote, one kill there from Canadian, the focus on him as the execute came through, but it can't be understated just how much that disrupted the push from Virtus.pro and made it a real challenge to dedicate every attacker towards the objective, knowing that at any moment, Canadian will be in a position to flank. And again, on the Solus, can deny on Vert. So many win conditions still available there to DarkZero, and despite losing the Warden first, they were able to make up for it.
Yeah, and to put it kind of into the specifics, right? Canadian gets a kill, that's one. Then second, there's a player in library for VP that now knows that he's getting flanked. And so he can no longer kind of just sit up above, looking down, try to put pressure on those on site, which means he's then having to go to the mezzanine to go and try and deal with Canadian. Doesn't get that kill initially. And then that means when the rest of VP are actually pushing their way into site, they firstly have already lost a player to Canadian, and then the second player got pulled away, so they didn't have the Vert. So they didn't have the numbers there because of what...
10 seconds to go. 5 seconds to insertion. Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Into the final round then of regulation, and we'll see if DarkZero are able to bring this one across the line. It will be the Solus in play again here for the defense. Canadian key stakeholder in the previous round. Again, it's the Brava in play though from VP. Shock drones as well from Shepard. And we'll see if they're able to play around this information and actually make it count. Perhaps there'll be a bigger focus on hunting down Canadian. Shepard now with a shock drone in towards the objective. Able, though, to stamp that out. There's 20 then on the clock, and decent work down below here from Always on that sledge. Fenrir mines have been pinged out, and you can see through multiple layers of floor, he's seeing if he is able to deal with those. Magnets also in play from Pamba. That's in an attempt to fortify the Solar Stairs position. Back to Shepard then, and he's looking to clear even more utility. Unfortunately, though, for him, that reign of terror on the shock drone put to rest with the mute jammer. Time then continuing to tick down. Virtus.pro have not shied away from taking their time and gathering as much info as they possibly can.
Deploying magnet.
Silence across the map then. Pamba spotted out. Of course, wary of the pinch from behind, but able to escape that position. It should now be vacated for Virtus.pro to take that space, but instead they elect to hold back. Being patient here and not wanting to make any mistakes on the final round of regulation. Pamba then will continue to hold bathroom. Backs away in towards piano then. Joystick to push forward. He's the first to initiate the push for Virtus.pro. Over 60 seconds then remains in the round. Only 4 kills for the Cyborg on this map thus far. Pasha to hold his flank, and always now to double down. Able to establish some vertical supremacy with that sledgehammer. DarkZero not feeling a whole load of pressure though at this point of the round. And for Virtus.pro, they need to do a better job at dislodging this defense as DarkZero continue to hold really key positions. Naif half wall, Canadian mezzanine. And with 30 seconds on the clock, this should be a DarkZero round unless Virtus.pro can make something magical happen. Dan's trying to catch somebody off guard, but DarkZero not providing anything for free. It is the Canadian to fall first. NJR elsewhere to find a pick, and Naif as well. Now 3 versus 3. Always to go for the plant, but denial up above from Naif. DarkZero only a moment away from taking their map pick in this best of 3. Pasha will need to pull off something very special as he looks to retake through Solar, but DarkZero able to confirm that round. And map 1 going the way of North Americans.
As a unit, I think everyone on FaZe today was absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I mean, we can see both Souls and Cyber in the bottom, and where have we seen them on the scoreboard usually?
At the top.
Yeah, and that's what we mean what we spoke about before the game. The flexibility of this team is second to none. Like, I genuinely believe that they have the most flexible team in terms of players that can play operators, because they just have so many guys that just, yeah, we need this, I'll play that.
Well, there's one player that's actually been leading. We talked about them yesterday. We talked about them earlier on today, and it's Cyber. He is pretty darn good, I would say. And Fresh, do you want to hammer that home?
Yep, so we talked about in the pre-match, we talked about this flexible role that Cyber has where he sees an opportunity to just make a little bit of a quirky play. Leaves the wall soft on the attic. Ambi's obviously made a little bit of a mistake there on the IQ, not checking for the C4. Waits for the Maverick to blow up the hard wall, and then he blows up the C4. This is it, obviously, from his point of view, then follows it up with an unreal kill. And this is what we was talking about from Cyber, where he sees these opportunities, he makes those opportunities happen, and that was a 5v3 in that round, completely from an individual play that he is trusted to make within this team. And from there, the round was only ever going to go one way.
Yeah, and we saw the scoreboard just before, right? He was second to last.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 7-7 or 7-6, I think Souls had. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just that they have that overall team ability. You spoke about Ambi making a very small mistake, and that's what we were talking about before the game as well. Sonics haven't been making these small mistakes. Ambi himself, I think, have had a little bit of a rough start to his day, because honestly, I think he's had quite low impact today. We're looking at his defenses. He didn't do much in the defenses until he got a flank kill that in the end didn't lead to much. And in attack, he only had one round really on a basement attack where he got 2 entry kills. I think we need more from him. I think he has that by far. Like, he's shown that he's got that. So maybe it's just time to wake up between maps.
But with kind of that afterglow of map 1 hitting everybody, including Sonics, and especially that pregame that we hyped up Sonics about it all, maybe we have to reconsider. Maybe it's just after one map. I mean, how tough, how stiff was the competition heading into this game that Sonics were presented
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the things that you can level at Sonics is the level of competition they've come up against. They have not come up against a top 3 team, worldwide that would have punished them, realistically. Every team that they've played has exited the competition at this point. Whereas FaZe have played multiple teams such as, for example, G2 and, dare I say it, Bliss, who are still in the competition, right? So I think that was like this is like been the first big test for Sonics. They've had the best attack, win rate coming into the competition. Didn't win an attack today. So they need to, cut up. They need to sharpen up on these mistakes. And they've got what it takes. They've shown what they've got what it takes. But they've been punished by a team, and they know they need to raise their level now.
Yeah, it's the next level step that they have to take now. And honestly, Sonics didn't look that bad as it may sound that we're saying. They didn't. They actually looked very solid. Their defenses and their team play in the defense was actually really, really good. And the only reason that they lost one top for attack as well against FaZe is because FaZe are just that good. So we're talking about 2 teams that are at the absolute top. They're the absolute best, and they really showed it in that map. Even if the scoreline, yeah, sure, 3 rounds apart, but I don't think it really reflected the game.
Yeah.
Now, with the absolute best, you have to be able to recover and take each map on its own. For that, let's turn to our map bans. We already went through map number 1, Oregon, going the way of FaZe Clan. Now we go on to Sonics' big clubhouse, where FaZe start off on the defense. Fresh, I turn to you. What are expectations here?
So this is where it happens in a best of 3. You're supposed to lose your opponent's map pick. You're then supposed to win your map pick. Sonics could not be on a better map pick for themselves. FaZe have 2 permabans. Clubhouse was always going to be open. Sonics were always going to pick it because it's their favorite map by far. Lost it once across 10 plays in this year. 90% win rate on the map. They absolutely love it.
And the map in itself, I think, fits Sonic's a little bit better, because now we're going into a map that Oregon is very rigid in 1, 2, 3 steps. Sure, Clubhouse is also known to be a very rigid map, but I think you have more options on Clubhouse, because you have different takes that you can take on the basement. Oregon basement is, you have 2 options, front or back. Which one do you select? On Clubhouse, you have way more.
Well, now is the question for Sonics. Like we said, a team at this level is supposed to be able to just snap and bring it back, right? But Sonics, can they learn to stand against FaZe that are able to run shields? And shields is very common on Clubhouse also. Is that something that is going to come up again?
Monty Bank could be a potential here, because taking Monty basically anywhere really can enable an attack. I think that Monty is reasonable. Clash, maybe not so much of a reasonable ban on this map, because I think there are more options and more ways to take care of Clash here.
The big determining factor for me as to who will win this map and whether Sonics can win this map will be that attack start that they have. The first 6 rounds are going to be huge, because we saw Sonics be good on the attack on Oregon. Sonics good on the defense on Oregon, but struggle on the attack. We saw FaZe good at both. So Sonics need to level up on their attacks.
Well, you talked about the overall comfort that Sonics has on Clubhouse.
Yes.
What would set them apart on the attacking side?
I think we're looking for Ambi to make that entry, make that step up in terms of the entry play, and then the play off the back of that. I think their attacks particularly, Sonics attacks particularly, were a little bit disjointed. It was very small timing differences that other teams in this competition have not punished, but FaZe will. And that's where they need to level up, is 1, Ambi, 2, just be together.
I think there's one important thing to look at. You guys see on your screen the face cams, well, you don't see the face cams, but cameras on their faces, and they're not showing any sort of fear or any sort of worry. They're comfortable, they're happy, and I think that's going to be one of the main reasons. If they can show that, and I see it on their faces, they don't care about map 1. It wasn't their pick. Now the real game starts for them.
Map 3, yes, no, game's ready.
I hope so.
I think map 3.
All right, Fresh Fabian, thank you very much. Our casters are ready, and Taro Pengu, take it away.
Well, FaZe win their map, and that's A-OK. So now Sonics go to their map, and if they win it, then we are well positioned for an exciting best of 3. If not, then FaZe Clan advances to a highly coveted spot in this tourney. Now, I will say this. Both of these teams have already secured main stage. It cannot be said enough. They will both play in front of a crowd.
Well, a bit of an abrupt end to that first map of the series. I did go missing there momentarily, but I've been able to find my way back. Well done, Guz, by the way, on going a little solo there, a little rogue to close that one out. In obviously what was a really sensational game. 2 teams that were going back and forth in nature. Felt like 1 for 1 in terms of the rounds. VP won the opening 2. DarkZero then responded. And it really felt like, at least throughout the entire portion of that game, it was really difficult to see who was going to pull away. In the end, though, in the clutch, it was DZ that was able to win it out 7-5.
Yeah, really competitive game from both teams, and I was a big fan of the counterplay that we saw, especially through the defensive half of DarkZero. Again, so much of revolving around the Solace play, the drone specialist from the attack Canadian under so much pressure, but then able to have impact late into the piece. The likes of Pamba really stepping up. NJR had a couple of key moments as well. So an entertaining match, and coming right down to the wire in regulation. We pitched this as probably having to be, based on historical data, a 2-0 for VP, because the third map doesn't look great. So smooth sailing and a great position for DZ now.
You say that, there's already been a couple of games at this tournament where, you know, going into quote-unquote the third map that doesn't look great ends up being fine. So it's not really a whitewash in that scenario. But for DZ, 4 of the last 5 rounds. That's quite telling in terms of the way that they were able to close this game out, because as I said, by and large, this was back and forth in nature, as you can see down the middle there, until DZ were able to find a way to separate. I mentioned at the start of the game, I said NJR, I felt like he was the kind of player that maybe doesn't get the plaudits that, you know, Bowler or a Canadian, especially Nafe at this tournament, but that he is someone to keep an eye on because he gets those high impact kills. 12 and 6, 2 and 1 on the entries as well. Decent cost, and he had obviously a very, very solid game.
Yeah, looking at those player stats, you could see an interesting spread for both teams, where it does drop off a little bit towards the tail end. So it was really a game of star players on that occasion. Again, though, facilitated by the supports and the flexes from both rosters. So keen to track that heading into the second map. It is Bank, the pick of Virtus.pro, and we'll see how they're able to rebound after what was, to be fair, a very competitive first map.
yeah, ultra competitive. Again, I felt like it was also the kind of game that it was clear, at least on display, that this was two teams that coming into it, 5-1 for DZ, 4-1 for Virtus.pro, right? Not a lot of mistakes have necessarily been made by either of these two teams coming into this tournament through the group stage and through a couple of the upper bracket games as well. In terms of the prediction here, it does shrink and come a little closer for Bank, considering it is the map pick of Virtus.pro, 56% on the socials. Still, though, favoring DarkZero, opting to now see if they can get themselves a 2-0 win and in towards that upper bracket final, and then just 2 maps away from a grand final at a 6 Invitational. Really does go to show how close they are to going all the way. Massive map coming up here, of course, for Virtus.pro. Not wanting to go down to that lower bracket, because now that run, if you go into it, becomes so much more difficult to get towards that grand final. Ying banned out by VP. I imagine Doc could be probably to follow from DarkZero.
Well, let's jump into things then. It's the Ying taken off the board first via VP. We'll see if it's a Dockerby in response from DZ, and indeed it will be. So two very prominent attacking operators for the final. Execute will play no further part in this match. Now, defensively, you might see a little bit more variance. It is the Azami from DarkZero, so opening the door probably for the Valkyrie in response from Virtus.pro, when you consider Bank and how large it is and how relatively easy it is to hide those cameras. I anticipate that will probably be taken off the board. I guess secondary to that, though, is the Kaid on a very hatch-heavy map. So VP not wanting to deal with that, and probably themselves will lean into the Valk for the first 6 rounds.
All right, well, it does put the onus on Virtus.pro to do well here on Bank. It is their map pick, looking to bounce back from an untimely defeat on Chalet. 4 of the last 5 rounds from DarkZero. Again, highlighting they were able to get the hold of Virtus.pro. There were good signs from VP, though, back on Chalet, where at times their defense looked really, really strong. I think that was probably the best looking factor about Virtus.pro back on Chalet. Probably was their defense. VP, of course, starting on the defense to begin with on Bang. Straight to lockers and CCTV to begin with in this second map of the series. Easy, up 1-0. VP must win this and send us the 3rd map in the series if they've got any hope of staying in this upper bracket. If they can do that, we would then be going to Skyscraper.
So let's have a look at this composition then, especially from the defense for round 1. As you can see, a rather traditional lineup is probably the way I would describe it, in the sense that VP are very much leaning into area denial. Smoke and Goyo in play. Shepard as well on the Yokais, can deny plant, gather information. A Rooney, an intriguing one as well, and we'll probably see some hat-tricking from the defense, which is always fun to see. On the side of the attack, though, we are going to see the Monty, Canadian, sacrificing his ability to frag out to help gain map control and give calls to the rest of the team. I feel like every time I've seen Monty in this event thus far, I've had to asterisk it with the comment that it's been a bit mixed in its ability to win rounds, and truthfully that has been the case. It all relies on the rest of DarkZero playing around this shield effectively. I like this though from Canadian. He can aggress over towards Server and Dirt very early in on the round, and it just draws a defender towards this position to ensure that he isn't allowed to advance further forward.
Saw Canadian playing a lot of solos back on Chalet, taking those kind of selfless roles here as well now with the Montang. Dan obviously trying to be oppressive inside of Server, but at some point you probably just have to give this position up, try and hold an angle where you can then get the second player trying to push him behind the shield on the Montang. That's exactly what he's trying to do now. Making it difficult to get that cross to happen. Vulcan canister got blown up nice and early in the round as well in terms of time denial. Dan still holding these aggressive angles. Nice little tap on to Bolo, gets him low. Bolo and Canadian both half health for the remainder of this round. More drones to come through. Never mind, Bolo just got absolutely sat down by Dan. Lovely tap headshot here from the Goyo. And it does give Virtus.pro an advantage to begin. Live drone for Nave down blue stairs. Of course, they've already got server control now. And it's a triple stack through blue for the side of DarkZero. It does make this quite one-dimensional. And JR over towards open area. Looking down the hatch and has got himself into a position. Of course, does need to be mindful of any kind of main stairs flank through Beepers later in the round. Not sure if that will come through from VP. They're pretty happy with the way they've got things set up right now.
Very much feels like basement Bank of old. The attack stacks inside of Server and one lurker and NJR up above. It's Dan in red though to hold down the line with the shotgun. Taking a stack of damage as he looks to pepper away at those Goyo canisters over time and deny the space for DarkZero, who are patient on the attack. But it does mean though They'll need to be perfect from this point onwards. Any more mistakes, especially in the 4 versus 5, will be punished by Virtus.pro.
Yeah, a little double up there. So Falcon canister blown, along with the gas pipe. Canadian has slipped in, not being denied here, and I think he's got a good opportunity to stick this the whole way, unless Shepard can hit it. No, he cannot. DarkZero through Canadian have been able to get the plant down. Virtus.pro allowing this despite so much utility in the form of the gas babes. They had the Vulcan canister, they had obviously the yokai drone, and all of that. None of it then able to deny Canadian, who just slips in like a Montang and gets that plant down. NGR in a good position as well. Understanding, of course, for Virtus.pro, they're going to want to try and come flush out his position towards open. They need to retake above. They do so successfully through Pasha from Beepers. Another one over towards Staff Room as well for DarkZero. Is Pasha aware of this? He is now. Stands up, headshot. Suddenly now, time though, the biggest thing. What a shot from Dan onto Nave. Down to Canadian. He too falls, and Shepard was on it with time. In the end, Virtus.pro may have allowed the plant, but they got the retake.
Just in time, 0.8 seconds left on that fuse. Really well played from Virtus.pro. Arguably, they shouldn't have allowed the plant to go down, at least not on that first attempt, but they quickly switched up in the post. The yokai sent up above for some information. Other players immediately vacating the basement, going up main stairs to apply pressure on the likes of NJR, up above, kitchen as well, which was occupied. Unfortunate there for Nafe. He would have loved to have been able to lurk a little bit longer inside of server, maybe pluck one kill, and then obviously time would have gone the way of DarkZero. Not meant to be, though. And a very chaotic opening round. I don't think it's every day of the week, especially in this kind of meta, right, where we see a very traditional plant through server, the turtle plant. No hatch drop to speak of from DarkZero, so very different compared to the norm.
Even just the plant position there from Canadian, as he was able to just sort of vault in, no one really watching it. The yokai drone wasn't set up initially in place, because you obviously don't want it to be directly there immediately. Then it's very easy to deal with it early on from any kind of Twitch drone or even any kind of offensive player that can then kind of shoot it out. Instead, then it comes over a little too late, and then Canadian obviously wasn't planning in that default, so there was no real time there. Still, really good, swift response from Virtus.pro. Understanding there's a large stack over towards server room, so obviously put a lot of bodies in towards CCTV to clear out server, and then sent Pasha up above through main in towards Beeper, and then cleared out open and staff basically single-handedly. It was a solid start defensively for Virtus.pro, but we know their defense has been a big, strong factor at this tournament. It's really going to be how will their next half go. So as many rounds as they could possibly find here on their defensive half is going to be very important for them here on Bank.
So the Monty will once again be employed here by the attack. And for DarkZero once more, it's going to probably be a large part of the strategy, and they'll be looking to play around it. Canadian top square, and he'll be able to get control through Jan Hall into Stockhall. Just forcing these defenders back. Minute into the round, so decent timestamp. DarkZero. Don't collect any kills, but that's not really what they need at this point in time. Map control will suffice. That will allow Pamba to come across with the skeleton key, vert out from CEO across. Very traditional attacks from DarkZero to kick it off. Pamba is top floor, and he'll be getting to work on that vert in a moment. VP, I'm sure, will be pretty content and looking to play late into the round, much like we saw in basement.
Long desk control from Pamba. As you said, traditional approach from DarkZero so far. But with that approach, VP have kind of given them the respect, dropping down, giving up top floor control. Obviously here for staff room and open area into the second round, and over still 60 seconds more than enough time remaining for DZ, and especially now with Pamperzoo on that buck using the skeleton key to open up these floorboards over towards Stock, over towards Janitor, with the pressure now for those on site, 4 of which are on site for VP. Dan though over towards Archives is a factor. And actually, no, he's not even Archives. He's even further down below, all the way towards basement. Shot, though, through the hatch. His position now rightfully known. And you can see for the rest of VP, though, all very much on site, waiting for this attack from DarkZero.
Secondary hard breach on the wall. Quad wall, that is, bot square, but always with the impacts in response. Able to deal with the first. Now, one in the pocket for Canadian, but also one in the pocket for Always. He'll have to pick his mark. The secondary to the right, exothermic to the left. He picks the ladder, but still now that position exposed.
Bolo was able to deal with Dan down below, so they deal with the lurk roam in basement. 20 seconds left. Nafe getting the Roteros out. Bolo with a team kill. Not sure how that happened, but he ended up taking out Canadian. Always then with a double. Little bit of a messy round to close this out here in the second on bank. Flash from Pambazoo. Doesn't get the player close angled left. Prone, Shepard, one gas babe, and he's just hiding. He's full white though. Went a little early. Nicely done from NJR. And 1 versus 1. Time the biggest. Backed up. But Pambazoo doesn't need the time. Finds the kill in the nick of time. And DarkZero somehow win that round despite some very bizarre circumstances. Then Polo with the team kill on Canadian. The flashes, a little bit awry. But ultimately a round win for DarkZero nevertheless. And for Virtus.pro, probably slim, gloom faces for a reason. Defense is meant to be their strength. And they've given up an attacking round to DZ already.
Wow, what a round, and an insane trade late in the piece from Pamba to be able to bring that round back. Great presence of mind from him, and signs that communication from DarkZero at the moment, late into the piece, is really, really strong. Not entirely sure how Bolo ripped off the head of his IGL. Nonetheless, made up for it with a second kill to follow onto the opposition.
Move out of the way, old man.
Yeah, old man indeed. Well, round number 3 then, and we go top floor. And as always, the discussion point on this particular objective can be a challenge to defend, even with innovations over towards Stock Hallway, for instance, because of the prevalence of the repel and the difficulty that the defense generally has in denying that. You have to see the defense continue to adapt and react accordingly to the attack itself. Now, I thought perhaps we'd maybe see the Monty 3 round straight and a push through Banana here from DarkZero, not meant to be. Instead, Canadian will rotate back to the Capital like we saw on Chalet.
Strong round to close that out for Pambazoo. Had a big clutch back on Chalet when he got that 3K in Solar. But he's had some very high impactful moments so far for DarkZero. So far, very much like Chalet though, where this already begins back and forth. Very close rounds. And mistakes will typically get punished, for the most part, from either of these two teams, for that matter. Pretty standard kind of look right now. The Repel opening up these castle barricades. Over towards CEO would go for the third round. Up above, top floor here from VP. Nafe getting the Roteros go to work over towards the spiral staircase as Shepard holding over towards Kanto in the elevators, which pressure already being applied. Selma will open up that. And Nafe also has the drones coming down from the skylight towards top main, putting pressure on Virtus.pro's defense. Pasha over towards the stock hallway with the standardized shield. Pretty default setup here from Virtus.pro, always inside a janitor. Not sure how susceptible he will be to DarkZero. I mean, they do have Canadian on that Capital and the Repel. He can incendiary inside of janitor. Minute 40, and he's getting some decent drone work here.
A really good read here from Canadian, and you can see the comms flowing on the player cam. Util on the window dealt with relatively well. Of course, those magnets can capture the bolts from the Capital, but Canadian prioritizing those and ensuring that they're clear, so that he'll be able to dump utility in response here. Time remaining. Bolt now taken out. Canadian will make the call, and I anticipate the push will follow. He'll look to just gain a little bit more information that can be relayed to the team, but now seems content that the push can come through.
Double stack over towards front desk from the side of VP, although it was actually Dan losing his life from that very position at hands of NJR. 55 seconds left. Nafe making good work over towards top square. Again, looking to contest Pasha here through that stock hallway. Shield is still up, makes it difficult. Initially, that flash in towards Janitor, though. He's playing by himself, so this becomes a quite big battle. Nafe in the 1 versus 1 against Pasha, despite that shield being up, despite the fact that Always is inside a Janitor, he still wins it. And Always never even went for that trade. He's holding the position to deny the Repel. Canadian on said Repel losing his life. Full white for Always. Can he survive? Somehow! Despite the fact that all he was seeing was nothing but white, Nave can't push in, get that kill. It becomes a 3 versus 3. Bolo has to recover the kit outside, and Pambazoo does take stock hallway. Big position, but loses immediately to Shepard. What a round that is currently playing out. Time a big factor. Bolo's been able to repel into sight. We'll start to stick down to joystick. Can he deny? In a 1 versus 2, pushes out. Player long desk, goes for the run, goes for the deny. The Nitrocell doesn't hit the mark because NJR denies. And he saves Bolo. He saves DZ. And they take a second round on bank.
Huge play there from NJR. Able to drag his team across the line. Felt like there was a slight disconnect there from DarkZero. We saw the double flame bolt in towards Janitor. Always was not under as much pressure as could have been the case. Perhaps DarkZero lacking a little bit of intel to clear out that position and maybe play off it. And with that position fortified, it meant that the diffuser was dropped on the rappel, and DarkZero then having to put in a recovery effort for the remainder of it. But they pivoted well, and that's a sign of a team that's attacking nicely. It's very rare that everything's going to go perfectly, especially on attack. So DarkZero did a decent job in recovering the round.
Yeah, and I liked what I saw from DZ in terms of really spreading Virtus.pro's defense, where they were on the rappel left side, rappel over towards airlock side, then top square approach. So really utilizing as much of the map as possible on a map that can be quite complex to really break down. DZ, again, second best attacking team at SI thus far. It's really no surprise to see them already have 2 attacking rounds, regardless of what the meta really has been doing to this particular tournament. DZ have kind of been bucking that trend a little bit with their very successful attacking win rates on certain maps, and so far that has been prevalent on Bank. Go to Lockers and CCTV though. Last time out, it was a close round. They got the plant down successfully for DarkZero, but VP got the retake. And right now, VP probably need this round. This becomes a very pivotal round for them. You allow DarkZero to get to a third already at this point, and suddenly it's a long way back into this. For a series that's been quite back and forth, DarkZero showing at the end of Chalet, showing now at the start of Bank, are showing that they are looking like they can pull away from Virtus.pro.
Deja vu inside of server then, and it's the Monty in the face of Dan on the Goyo. The Yokai from Echo though, just making it a little bit more tricky for Canadian to aggress. He pushes forward, the stun will come through and opens a window of opportunity for both Dan and Pasha to aggress on the shield. But again though, for DarkZero shaping up for probably a push directly inside of server, Pasha needs to be mindful as the flash comes through, but able to escape back towards site. So quick control here from DarkZero. Pamba doing a really good job to already get bot blue control.
Yeah, I think that's the key there from DarkZero. The fact that they were able to send Pambazu down blue stairs, and then that really kind of made that server hold for Virtus.pro essentially ineffectual. They had to fall back at that point, otherwise they were going to get completely pinched and already open up this wall. Pressure mounting from DarkZero. Where's the response from Virtus.pro? Will they look to go and try and send someone, say, square side, come in on the backside of blue stairs? Obviously, for DarkZero, we'll have flank watch, and it is an opening kill from Pasha. Needed that one on the Aruni. Bolo losing his life there on the Thermite, opening up the walls, but Pasha finds the kill from the loading dock inside a garage. And suddenly, we kind of go back a deja vu to the last time we saw Lockers in CCTV with Dan inside a red, Canadian on the Montang. It's all quite same. Will we have the same outcome though? Well, remains to be seen.
NJR once again up above, and if the plant goes down, he'll play a pivotal role in the post. But that may not come into fruition because Dan inside of red is farming. Canadian will back in towards the objective. The plant comes out, but eventually denied. 45 seconds then on the clock, and Virtus.pro continue to chip away at this attack. DarkZero looking to double down around the Monty once more through server. Virtus.pro even more proficient in denying that play. Shepard with one more Yokai will be able to deny the plant once more alongside the smoke canister from Always, who still has one in the pocket. With 30 seconds on the clock, DarkZero will not be able to win this round. Virtus.pro should be evening up the scoreline unless Canadian and Pamba can pull off an absolute miracle. Won't be the case though.
15 seconds.
No,
Pamba's up above.
That's a forfeit there from Pambazu, understanding they've been outdone defensively there by Virtus.pro. Really nicely done from VP. Firstly, in the initial hold towards server as they get the final kill through joystick for that flawless round. The initial hold towards server just buys a little bit of time, and you're more in the face of DZ. DZ then can't get into their setup as early as they could last time out on Locker CCTV, and where we saw Canadian really put that Montang to use. They got an early plant down, and that's the main thing. They got an early plant down. This time they couldn't do that because VP were putting a lot more pressure inside a server with that Yokai drone, making it difficult. Eventually, Pamba then has to come through blue stairs, and yes, they push them back, but then VP can go into that time delay that we typically see, and it also meant that DarkZero had to get others over there to help out Canadian, to get him out of tons in towards server. And it also then meant that it becomes a quite one-dimensional attack from DarkZero. We saw no one main stairs. We didn't see anyone go towards lobby hatch. No pressure elevator. We didn't see really much in terms of an admin drop. It was really just a bit of a hold. And so ultimately it becomes quite easy for Virtus.pro. Just aim your guns towards server. And they did that. They got some good angled shots, got a couple of kills, and then it became very difficult for DarkZero to plant because of those gas babes, because of that Yokai drone. You had the Vulcan canisters. So much delay was quite evident.
10 seconds to go.
So once again, then over towards open area with the castle in play. Dan will fortify his position. Top floor. DarkZero did contest that. Pambazoo on the buck. Again, should play a key role in this particular round in flushing out that defense across, especially if DarkZero once again want to commit towards Plot Square late in the round, commit to maybe a hatch drop or two as well, and then collapse onto the objective. Also an intriguing pick here from Canadian. And those Talon shields will open up perhaps some more playmaking opportunities in locking down maybe a cross or two and allowing him to give calls and information to the rest of the team. Likewise, I do like the Maestro pick here as well from VP. They've been leaning into typically that or the Echo so far. Maestro with the added benefit of being able to chip away at the drone economy of DarkZero as well.
Yeah, pretty similar hold as last time out for VP. Good news for DarkZero is they've won every other site outside of basement, so this is where they can shine. Now that lockers and CCTV has been locked away for the remainder of this half, can they continue to find success up above? Oh, well, NJR catches Dan just, though, momentarily after Dan was already able to get the kill onto Pambazoo. And that's a pretty big kill. I think that's a win more so for Virtus.pro because you get rid of the buck. And the buck can do a lot of work once top floor control is established in opening up stock, in opening up long desk, and opening up positions like janitor, for example. And so therefore, there's a little bit less offensive power now from DarkZero. But they've finds a kill onto Pasha, and so that probably offsets the loss of Pambazoo. Anyway, Canadian steps up, but he cannot clear out stock. Joystick on the water now drops, losing a lot of life, but he stays alive. 3 versus 3, under 90 seconds left in the round, and only just now DarkZero can start to get this top floor control as Virtus.pro concede it and now hold sight.
Yeah, and any opportunity for DZ to play around with that OSA and opening up some playmaking positions now will no longer be the case. Foley still has 3 Summers in hand, so there may be a push through bot square late, but I think his attention's drawn elsewhere at the moment. Still plenty of time available though. 60 seconds on the clock. Nave can get to work with those Otero drones to create some lines of sight, flushing out the defense and perhaps capturing utility on that quad wall. Maybe a mute jammer or two from Shepard, but should be pretty easy to deal with those. Still hard breach in the hands of NJR as well. Can't look past that. 2 exothermics available to him. So there's every world in which DarkZero can expose these defenders on the objective, but they'll need to hit some sharp shots to ensure they capture the kills.
Bolo trying to open up the quad inside of Electrical at the moment. 30 seconds left. You get all 3 remaining players for VP sitting in sight, sitting over towards that position all together. They've got themselves a good spot in terms of crossfire angles. No real solo positions for VP defensively, so it does mean for DarkZero, if you kind of push him by yourself, if you go a little bit early here, before everyone else, you probably lose your life. Always with a good angle. Flashes to come through. Are they successful? Always off that angle. Does find a kill. Shepard too. And these little solo pushes from DZ fall flat on its face. They spent so much time trying to open up these walls, trying to open up these sight lines, deal with the utility. The time became a factor. They ran out of it. And in the end, Virtus.pro hold strong on defense, on site, and they get themselves a lead on bank.
The ability to anchor sight from VP has been a big strength for them so far in this matchup. And despite DarkZero having the utility of the Salmas and the exothermics to open up entry points and lines of sight to expose those defenders, they found it difficult to flush them out, and that's even with the Ozami banned out. So perhaps then a lack of information, although I think the drone economy wasn't terrible. There were still 4 left at this point in the round, but it came down to a lot of ones. And I mean, sometimes that can be the case. A 50-50 round like that, one fight goes the other way, and then DarkZero can trade out the next pick, etc. But again, credit goes to Virtus.pro. They didn't get antsy on the objective, didn't expose themselves unnecessarily. They trusted that 3, pyramid or triangle that they had remaining to hit those crosses and executed it really well.
So, final round of the half. Virtus.pro looking to establish a lead going into the second half, one that might be required.
10 seconds remaining.
We'll see. Obviously, EZ have already shown that they can defend quite vigorously back on Chalet. DarkZero, of course, they were able to close out the first half of Chalet by tying it up 3-3. So a lot of similarities transpiring now on Bank compared to what we saw on Chalet. Not really too much in differences. It's more of the same, which might be good news for DZ, but also a chance at redemption for Virtus.pro. Feeling as if they let one slip away on Chalet. Bambazu straight in towards open. And it's the stock hat, of course, that he is looking at. Not really being played too aggressively. Pasha more so in the hallway position. Obviously, he'll be very much aware, though, of the pressure that will be wanting to be applied on said position of stock and this hallway position towards Janitor as well, which is what Always is holding. Again, very much the same lineup in terms of positioning for VP for the last time out on CEO, which was won by DarkZero.
Well, it's a free kill for Pam, but if Pasha had dropped down the hatch, but a lack of pressure means that Pasha instead will elect to sit behind the shield. NJR on lobby repel. His job to open up that Kanto wall if possible. Though I believe there's a mute jammer on currently, and that's confirmed from the POV of Shepard. Pambo elsewhere will move forward and deal with a mute jammer on the objective itself. Needs to be mindful, though, that no one on the defense really aggresses these positions, although from what I can see, I don't believe that will be the case, at least not for now. He'll have the ability to make plays for himself.
Yeah,
the rest of the team gets to work.
Double stack over towards front desk, so there's no real kind of defense from Virtus.pro down below. Hence why Bambazu is able to do what he pleases over towards Archives down on that that first floor. Minute 12 seconds.
Well, they've dumped utility again into Jan. This time it's the Hive Launcher and not the asphyxiating bolts from the Capitao, but we need to see DarkZero actually play off this, right? There's no one inside of Janitor at the moment, and arguably this is a good opportunity to gather some control or maybe make a play, but they're quite static at the moment on the attack.
Always was forced to drop down that hatch. It does mean Janitor's quite vulnerable, though. Pushed away and yellow pinged out. Does get the down. So Always is eliminated out of the game. And so is Dan as well from NJR. So now it's an advantage for DarkZero. Looking to do what they did back on Chalet. Close out the half, forcing that 3-3 scoreline, not allowing Virtus.pro to get a 4. Pasha now feeling as if he has to hold a different position, maybe feeling as if that stock hallway position is now very much under threat. 20 seconds, it probably comes down to, can they deny the plant? Can they deny Canadian on the rappel? That becomes a huge win condition now for Virtus.pro. Pasha cannot survive. He gets completely overwhelmed as Bambazu and Nafe made their way in top square. There's only one left, it's Shepard. And all he can do now is hope to deny Canadian. He can't because Nafe was watching. And DarkZero again break the hearts of Virtus.pro as they did back on Chalet. To close the first half, they do so here on Bank 3-3, and at no point have VP been able to separate from DarkZero.
That's a really stellar round from Canadian, and you look at the scoreboard and he's not necessarily posting huge numbers, but we saw there directly the impact that he had on the round. The Grim Launcher to flush out Janitor. They didn't necessarily play off that directly, as Canadian had the drone down below, facilitated the kill open area, then made sure the rest of the team was in position for the next phase of the push. Had more Hive launch charges available to clear out a couple more positions. Great swing in. Rest of the team was in sync. So the shot calling from Canadian and the information that he's relaying to other key players on the team is just phenomenal at the moment. And Canadian, again, looking to keep the dream alive of 3 hammers. The only player to do so if he's able to achieve that feat. Winning this game, winning this map would be a huge step towards that goal.
So, 3-3 scoreline. Again, deserved, and again, really highlighting how close these two teams have been. Despite that, though, of course, DZ won out 7-5 on Chalet, and now are only a couple of rounds away from progressing forward in this upper bracket portion of the tournament. You win this map, and you are 2 maps away from a grand final of the Six Invitational. That is what is on the line here for DarkZero. That is how close they are to greatness. For Virtus.pro, these next rounds, this half becomes essential. Looking to send us to Skyscraper if necessary for a 3rd map. Their attack now put to the test on Bank. DarkZero already showed back on Chalet they have a very strong defense. This is not going to be light work for Virtus.pro. They are the underdogs. Well and truly now here on Bank. Easy, the favorites to close this out. We'll see whether or not they can do that. This time it's Nafe on the Solar. So it's Canadian's job back on Chalet. Nitrosol perfect though. Well, he's on the pulse. And he finds a kill. His first kill of this game. But what an impactful one onto the Buck of Joystick. Again, the Buck is just so strong in a map like Bank. You get rid of a player. You have that advantage. Always is low on health outside of the map. This is not a good start for VP.
Let's see if they can recover the round though. Dan with some top square control, and Pasha up the DMR is able to seek out Canadian and find that here. He'll continue his push forward and just making sure that no one on the defense really aggresses up top blue. As VP slowly chip away at this map control, it is NJR on that stairs position. No real incentive for him to push up, but Amber's actually found himself inside of Printer now. Open area. This is a big playmaking position for Pamba, but elects to play safe and drops down.
Sensor on.
Naif just holding that position in elevator for the time being. Can drop if he does get droned out, of which there's only 2 remaining, by the way. So in terms of that economy, absolutely shattered again. We saw it back on Chalet where Canadian did such a good job on the Solus. Now it's Naif on the Solus. And he too also is making Virtus.pro struggle to get this information later in the round. 60 seconds left, and what will they be able to gain in terms of info? Over towards Admin to open up that hatch with the secondary hard breach. Will do so successfully as Dan makes the drop down into server. They haven't even really got these walls opened up either and won't be able to. Well, never mind, they will, because they've got always, and this one's been left soft as well. Mind you, it doesn't really matter because NJR with those gas babes will be able to deny the plant inside of default if it does come through. Dan trying to hold an angle to see if anyone wishes to peek, if anyone wishes to make their presence known. Lovely red ping onto NJR. That felt like a little moment there where VP needed to get that kill. Because now he's still alive and he still has 2 gas babes.
15 seconds then on the clock. Shepard back into the default plant position, but another smoke canister will make it very, very challenging. Bolo, though, now left all alive in the 1 versus 3. Can Bolo win this out? It's Shepard to go for the plant. Dan to cover Bolo! 3 in the round, and he's been able to do it! Bolo is back, baby!
Oh! Well, just for a moment, it was 4 versus 1 in favor of Virtus.pro. They were able to send always down towards that main stairs position, catching DarkZero in the back. They had no idea the flank was on. A couple of moments there for VP that they would be kicking themselves. Should have probably gotten that kill onto NJR. If you do, then you can get the default plant. Instead, he stays alive. He gets the gas babes out. He's able to deny the plant from going down. That then gives Bolo time, get a couple of kills, comes in from behind, and he's able to then deny plant. There's no time left at that point, despite the 1 versus 1. And a sensational round. Started off with Canadian getting that kill onto Joystick, but again, it's a 1 versus 3, but time was the biggest factor of them all. And so it became a bit of a rush for VP. And yeah, it's a facepalm moment for them because that's another round they've squandered. And that's probably been the storyline in this series, unfortunately, for Virtus.pro. DarkZero have just been better in the clutch. DarkZero have been better in these key moments back on Chalet, now here on Bank. And they have a deserved 4-3 lead. They are 3 rounds away from that upper bracket final. Making a sensational run here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And could that be the catalyst for a player that has got such high expectations? So many fans in Bolo. There's some that are thinking he's not quite performing to the level he has previously. Well, that was a very high impact moment.
It doesn't get much better than that. Huge from Bolo. And silencing Virtus.pro. What a way to kick off the defensive half here for DarkZero. Huge play. VP, though, respond here on the attack. They'll kick things off with pressure over towards CEO. Partial to drone forward with the shock drone.
Well, this is where now for Virtus.pro, when it comes to them, mental dexterity and their fortitude and resilience, how thick is their skin? After a round like that, you know, it's very easy to facepalm, slouch in your chair, go back, think, oh my goodness, we're on a montage reel. But you have to stay locked in and focused. It's only 3-4. Your attacks have been okay for the most part throughout this series. Nothing to suggest that they can't bring this back. It's only a 1-round deficit. And you were very close to being able to win that round on a Locker's CCTV site. But have to keep the mental focus for Virtus.pro here. That's just 1 round. It's gone. Forget about it. Forget about the first map, don't you? And a nice little red ping information here. Good pop square control from Dan. And a little bit of damage onto Pampa, so he's taking quite low. Pasha, the F not mine. And a player to his right. He was red pinged, had the information along with the call out, but he's just shot so quickly by Canadian. He never even got a chance to take that swing the way he would have wanted to. Advantage DarkZero as Joystick in towards airlock, but he's losing that battle too. All these little 1v1s, these little coin flip moments going the way of DarkZero. Nafe is strong, holds his position in a steadfast angle, and Dan now goes up to try and salvage it for Virtus.pro.
I mean, they haven't flushed these defenders. Dan does have a read over towards front desk. He wins this. It might make things interesting, but he's taken very low. And DarkZero now have fortified their positions on site. Time does remain here for Virtus.pro, but it's going to be a challenge. Reaching charges in the pockets of a couple of these players to create line of sight. Although at this point of the round, I don't think that will be too impactful. Looking at the outlines as well, Canadian is lurking bot blue stairs, a position so commonly flanked by the defense. So Dan needs to be so mindful of that. Bot quad wall opened up, but DarkZero with some really strong positions.
20 seconds is all that remains in this round. DarkZero, can they get themselves up to 5-3, or can Virtus.pro finally go and clutch a round out? It feels like forever since we've seen them be able to do that. Not a lot of time, but a drop down is successful from Always. Spray over towards blue is sensational from Dan. Talk about game sense, but where's that kit? They don't need it. Dan shot through the softball, gets the kill onto NJR. Cannot be hard-pressed to think that NJR was going to be able to maybe salvage that for DZ, but Virtus.pro, they are steadfast, they are resilient, and they do tie it up 4-4. And a timeout has been called, actually, by Virtus.pro for this tactical timeout, despite the round win. But a much-needed round with the way things have been shaping up in this series, and that could be a circuit breaker. Off the back of the Bolo clutch, the response from VP is immediate. And then they call the timeout to maybe just calm things down a little bit. Go for a reset in momentum.
I really did think there that Canadian was in the playmaking position to lock out the round for DZ. The one thing that I couldn't see on the overhead, and you obviously couldn't see through the walls, and I didn't notice it if it was shown on screen at any brief period of time, was the fact that top blue was barricaded off. Canadian can't give away the sound cube because then his position is known. Dan was low on HP, so Canadian probably still would have won the fight, but understandably so, he elected to keep a low sound profile. And then attempting to spray through the barricade made things very, very awkward, and Dan punished Canadian in that position and allowed the attack in through bot square. So an unfortunate round there from DarkZero. But what a response from Virtus.pro. It would have been so easy to drop your head after the Bolo clutch, but they respond nicely there. Once again, in the late round, tidying it up.
Off the back of that round win for Virtus.pro, along with that timeout, a chance to reset things. At 4-4 in terms of the scoreline, both teams are as even as they possibly can be here on Bank. The map pick of Virtus.pro, so far good signs that they didn't seem really all that affected by the Bolo clutch. Despite the fact that we saw a couple of hands-on faces and some little slouching in the moment, certainly a round they felt got away from them, and that has probably been a bit of a story here so far in this series. As DarkZero have certainly looked a lot more clinical in these late round moments, in the clutch moments. Virtus.pro, though, not that time. That time they were able to close it out. Deservedly so. So far, it's Always. That's kind of leading from the front. He's the main man right now for Virtus.pro. 10-4. Does kind of mean, though, it's a little bit of that one-man show. Pasha's being good as well at times. And so potentially others to stand up. Also, Dan 8-4. Where's Joystick? Where's Shepard? Can they get involved? Especially for Joystick playing this buck. Big round coming up. 9th round. And can VP get to 5? Can they find a way to get that advantage once again?
And for Joystick, Shepard and Dan still chasing glory off the back of the Riley Major back in 2019. They've been close, but no cigars since then. To win 6 Invitational. They haven't quite had it in them to get it across the line. Could this perhaps be the tournament for them? Oh, they want to continue the run through the upper bracket to bolster their chances. And to do so, I need to continue this run here on Bank. Round 9 we go. And the shock drones to go deep from Pasha. Good information gathered. I presume Pamba has seen that in response, though, so he should be able to swiftly deal with those drones. But if they can capitalize off this info, VP should be in good standing. Red pings to come through, and oddly enough, it is that Solace pinged out. But Dan, caught off guard. It's NJR down below on what is a rather obscure objective choice.
Shepard looking for that response. Didn't quite come through. Nape a little bit damaged up, but he's okay for the most part. Oh, never mind. As soon as he made that drop down, and Shepard was aware he was shooting at him while he was up above. So could not make the rotate back Unfortunately for Nave's sake, especially on the warden, could be a factor here. 60 seconds remains. But what's shaping up again to be another close encounter between these two teams where it does feel like these little moments are going to separate them. NJR with a nice little peek from Square's side onto Always gets him low, gets him vulnerable, and gets him second guessing here.
45 seconds then. Canadian probing around, will reposition over towards main stairs. May look to lean into his yokais late in the piece, and he'll trade positions with Panda. Time again could perhaps become an issue for Virtus.pro. They continue to leave the execute very deep into the round, meaning that there's very few opportunities to make mistakes, of course. 20 seconds then, diffuser recovered. And these players on site not under as much pressure, I think, as Virtus.pro would like. NJR's toes not exposed, and he's in a really good spot now.
10 seconds remaining in the round, and NJR has been spotted. That good spot, no more. He goes down. That gives VP a real good look in with Shepard. Can he get the Talon shield down? Plus the plant. He's got to go quick. Forget the shield. Just get the plant down. Canadian should deny and will deny. Game sense of old, and it makes an impactful moment again for DarkZero. Again, late in these rounds, it always has been DarkZero in this series. Virtus.pro, despite even having the numbers advantage, still succumb. Still fall short. And it's DZ off the back of that Virtus.pro timeout that come away with the round win. 5-4 is now the lead.
Playing into the Goyo and the Echo, unfortunately for Virtus.pro, just taking far too long and not finding as much value from the Vert as they otherwise would have liked. Good flush out onto NJR, but as we highlighted prior to that passage of play, Canadian trading positions with Pamba. He was safely down below inside of basement. Virtus.pro were never going to find the Echo and never going to take those yokais off the board unless they directly shot them out. And Canadian doing a great job in sneaking it into position. Fantastic denial inside of Archives and VP. Not much they could do.
Well, right now, it really does feel like Virtus.pro are on the ropes here. DarkZero, 2 more rounds away from an upper bracket final position.
10 seconds left.
You get into that said position, and you are then just 2 maps away from a grand final at the Six Invitational. Both of these teams will be playing on the main stage, guys. They will be playing in the arena, but only one of them will be playing from the upper bracket, the other in the lower. And right now, it's looking as if that will be Virtus.pro, unless they turn it around. But what feels like a very pivotal 10th round. Can they tie the scores? Pressure mounting. And when you're on the attack, it feels even more difficult when you know you have to make these steps forward. You have to try and set the pace, be aggressive, try and find ways to open up this defense, a defense that has looked so strong. And now they get the opportunity as well to go back to basement. This is a very difficult task for Virtus.pro because DarkZero have not put much wrong.
Simple but effective counterplay here on offer for Dan. The IQ brought out. He should be able to help find these Valkyrie cameras from Canadian. And perhaps some yokais from Bolo and the Echo as well. He's able to deal with those. It bolsters Virtus.pro's chances again. If they're going to go for a late round execute, if you're able to chip away at that utility, clear it out, ensure that there's a lack of information for the defense, it should make life a little bit easier. Elsewhere, joystick on the vertical up above. Just cutting off any rotations if there is a roam employed here by DarkZero. As far as I can tell, there isn't. Nafe may be prone inside of elevator, so something to keep in mind. Hatch open though, so he'll chip away at these drones and look to get back towards site.
Just under 90 seconds left still in that 5 versus 5. And while it's not a match point round, it kind of has that same feeling to it. Joystick opens up stock, drop down. No one there to meet him though initially. No real response here from DZ up above. At this point in the round, they're more than happy to place sight. You've got the smoke, you've got the yokai from the Echo, the Vulcan canisters. Time denial aplenty. And the Warden as well for any kind of attack towards the site more directly. But it's a triple stack square and server side from Virtus.pro. All of their eggs are in one basket unless someone goes for a flank. Either elevator or main stairs. Vulcan canister blown up. Fire aplenty. And now time for the gas babes from NJR. 2 more remaining with 40 seconds left in the round.
Always to perhaps go for the first plant attempt. He'll turn around, hold that F key. Let's see if DZ deny.
He does get denied immediately. And JR has one more gas bait, but he's dead. No more. Big nade from Den suddenly gives an avenue for Virtus.pro. Always. Where's that yokai? It burst. It's good. Always denied. Can there be a shot out from Dan? Losing his life to Pampazoo. Now Always, can he stick it? Yes, he can, just momentarily. And Shepard's able to help out. Canadian then gets the kill, the flush on the Pampazoo. But don't let it be twisted. It was predominantly Shepard. Now they need to go above, but already there is Pasha, denying that main stairs push. And it's only Canadian. In a 1 versus 4 through the barbed wire of main stairs, one to meet him at Beepers, wants to go for the revive to help out in terms of numbers for the side of DarkZero. They've got the double swing, but he doesn't check left side of the hallway, and Pasha was able to deny the retake immediately. Despite the yokai, the burst being successful first time around, unfortunately for DarkZero, they ran out of plant denial, and eventually that plant went down. Virtus.pro in position to deny the retake. 5-5. We are tied here on Bank.
Yeah, Pamper forced into an awkward position to go for Hail Mary play and denying the plant, but it was Shepard up above, who I believe got the down, and then unfortunately confirmed by Canadian. Now, Canadian at that point in time was the only player that had plant denial available. He had a nitro cell in hand. He used it in the post, likely because he couldn't get in a position to deny the plant because he was so far away. It's unfortunate there for DarkZero that a couple of things didn't go their way. The yokai counterplay from VP, though, cannot be understated. Did a really good job after the initial burst to ensure that it was cleared. And that big win condition for the defense shut down. So a 5-5 scoreline as these two continue the back and forth.
Well, it was this moment back on Chalet. 5-5, DarkZero pulled away. They won the last 2 rounds to close this out, despite how close and back and forth that map was, respectively. Now, can Virtus.pro look to do the same? They've got themselves very minor margin of momentum, again, to just try and take into this 11th round after winning that lockers and CCTV site, getting the plant down successfully, denying the rotates. Pasha in a good position. So far, Dan, Pasha, and Always really strong here on Bank. DarkZero, so close. Will it be a case of so far, though, or can they look to close this out 2-0? Skyscraper potentially beckons. If Virtus.pro can win next couple of rounds.
Once again, Dan on the IQ, looking to place spoils for the information gathering pools, especially Canadian, who jumped back onto the Echo. Again, with fast mind back to the previous round, and even prior to that as well, where it was actually successful, the Echo has been very impactful in this particular match. Shock drone's available as well for Pasha on the Twitch, and he can shoot away at those F0 mines from the Fenrir. And if those yokais are located, he'll be able to deal with those too. But it's Amber to deal with Always, and that will limit the hard breach potential for this attack.
Yeah, that's Kit down as well. Pampazoo from long desk getting that kill. Bit of a repel pressure from Virtus.pro, losing Always, as he said. Hard breach gone. They do still have secondary hard breaches available through Shepard, but doesn't quite replace the Salmons initially. Dan getting to work, continuing over towards top square, dealing with some of these gadgets. 90 seconds is all that remains in the round. Virtus.pro finding it difficult to get a large amount of this map control, with still good pressure up above from DarkZero. Only just now has Bolo dropped from stock in towards open, leaving that shield in the hallway position. DarkZero feel as if they've done enough when it comes to that top floor hold. They got it killed. Now they can fall back, hold sight, and play for the long game. Up to Virtus.pro to try and change the fortunes of this round, but right now it's all leading into one direction, and that direction is DarkZero getting themselves into a serious point scenario. 60 seconds is all that remains.
Again, with that hard breach limited, though, for Virtus.pro, I don't think a push through bot square will be the play. Secondary hard breach available for Shepard, but he's rotating front door as Pasha now drops down below. So they may look to concoct something using main stairs. Maybe force their way through tellers and archives, potentially.
I think they're hunting Canadian.
Probably not the worst of decisions.
Got to go quick, though. Might not be a bad decision right now from Pasha, but it's all about the timing of it. Default left up, no one watching it. Inside of the hatch. Hello, here comes Pampazoo. Maybe anticipating that push from down below helps out Canadian. Joystick, though, from above. One on the stairwell. Who's going to win this one? Not watching, though, was Pampazoo looking towards Beepers. Did not anticipate the joystick was already there. Now, mind you, Canadian is still down below, flashing himself. Shepard, though, the incendiary bolt towards main stairs. Down with a good kill. On to Bolo. Plant needs to go down safely, cannot be denied. Canadian the one to watch here, maybe on the Yokai, not sure if there are any in place, don't think so, and the plant does not get denied. And suddenly, Canadian and Nafe, in a 2-on-3 retake, the joystick go towards Beepers, and they are double stack pushing up main.
And they have a read. Canadian now 1 versus 2. A challenge, limited info, pushes forward, shut down. A phenomenal attack from Virtus.pro.
Yeah, I mean, insane. You lose your hard breach early on. You didn't really win that battle top 4 clear. DarkZero won that battle, and then eventually opted to go back down below. Loved the double swing as well. Bot main from Pampazoo, anticipating someone to go for that flank. DarkZero felt like they had a really good read on that round, but Virtus.pro just, through sheer aggression, was able to just force their way into sight. Won that main stairs battle. That was the most convincing aspect. Then through Beepers, they were able to get through into open. Tactical timeout has been called. Utilized by DarkZero now as they are down map point to Virtus.pro. Having already won on Chalet, yes, they took good momentum into this map. They started really well 2 of the first 3 rounds. But it's been VP on Bank that is really showing that they've got that mental dexterity to deal with some of these disadvantages that they've found themselves in throughout this game. The Bolo clutch, even more clutches and some mistakes as well from VP, but they've been able to offset all of that and get themselves into match point.
So looking back then at that previous round, you can see Pamba protecting Canadian down below, who was looking to play for plant denial, but unfortunately, those Yokai cameras had already been taken down. Those Yokai drones had already been dealt with by Virtus.pro. It meant that DarkZero were not then in position to deny the plant, and retaking up through main, through the double door, was always going to be a very tough challenge, and especially with Virtus.pro having a read that there was a stack downstairs, it was all but impossible. Virtus.pro now on map point. They're able to convert this final round of regulation. We will be heading to a 3rd and final map.
And that would be Skyscraper. You have already mentioned a couple of times, though, not a map that, for at least VP's sake, that they'd be too happy to go to, but at that point, it's one map and a big one. You can kind of throw maybe some of the historical data out of the window. Play on that raw emotion. Can DarkZero now respond and send us to overtime here on Bank? Keep that pressure on Virtus.pro. For the moment, the valve has maybe just released in terms of pressure on VP, knowing at minimum they can go to OT. This is not a do-or-die round for them. Neither is it, though, for DarkZero, having already won a map. Canadian playing that Echo once again, and has already had a couple of big clutches with these Yokais so far in this half. Obviously none in that last round. Bolo, big position over towards that stock hallway. At times in said position, you can kind of feel like you're on an island if you do get pinched from, say, main stairs or then top square.
And heading into this game, Teller's Archives only played twice at the event so far. So an objective that Virtus.pro on attack likely not particularly familiar with. But perhaps they've learned some lessons from their last attempt where Canadian, playing that Echo to perfection, was able to deny plant. Virtus.pro took a long time to wind up that attack. So that's something they'll be focusing on here, is cleaning that up. And for the impact trick on the wall to fortify position inside of Janitor. Nafe elsewhere under fire. He'll survive. Talon was in response. The two-barrel play, really good there from DZ. Another impact trick. Another Zoto canister to follow. So the counterplay here from DarkZero, and the utility is on point.
Bolo won his 1v1 towards that stock hallway, keeping that position alive. Zoto canisters being thrown out by NJR in terms of stalling out. And always, obviously trying to get this Vert established in towards above site now, above Archives.
And Dan dying first is so devastating. Look at that defensive lineup. The IQ here is so valuable for Virtus.pro. This is going to be a very difficult round to recover.
They do get the kill to Nafe, who's got a bit more quiet here on Bank. 6 and 11, so he's been flushed out of front desk. Minute left, and this Vert has been established. Now, Virtus.pro can look to put pressure on Archives along with Talers, and through the floorboard always. What a sensational game he's had, and he shuts down NJR. The Zoto canisters were already utilized, so job done from the tuber out. 45 seconds left. Is this another Bolo moment? Canadian with the Yokai. Pampazoo has already had some big kills as well, but down a player. The numbers disadvantage. The biggest factor right now is Pampazoo goes hunting through server.
Up through blue now. But there's a drone and a barricade in his way. Plant now 2 go down. Can Canadian deny?
He looks like he's getting himself into position. Always, this is going to be close. He does deny. But Shepard got the kill onto Bambazoo. Canadian can only do so much more in trying to deny this. Always straight back on it. Bolo needs to get going. Get close enough. Takes the battle from below in terms of this vert. Plant down successfully. And now Bolo has position known inside of towers. Canadian coming up blue stairs. Bolo gets flushed out from joystick. And Virtus.pro now on the verge of sending us to Skyscraper. Indeed they do. So strong and resilient. DarkZero at many times in this match, in this series, looked like they were going to run away with it. Bolo clutch or not, the response comes from Virtus.pro, 7-5, and we go to a third map.
The game plan from DarkZero dismantled by Virtus.pro, who countered the way in which they wanted to defend Bank. Great effort, especially again in response to that Bolo clutch, which could have been to the demise of Virtus.pro, but they keep this series alive. Map 3 now looms, and despite it not looking fantastic for VP historically, I totally agree with you, right? In this kind of circumstance, with the momentum that they've gathered off the back of that, throw that result out. Map 3, a fresh slate for both teams.
Yeah, it certainly is. 7-5 win for both teams on their respective map picks, which is really all you can ask for. I said at the very beginning, in our pre-show discussion for this matchup, was that these two teams are really difficult to break down and try and see who's going to pull away. I mentioned how close they were statistically. You're seeing that now inside of the server as well. 7-5 on Chalet, picked by DZ, they win it out. 7-5 on Bank, picked by VP, they win it out. And both very similar in that they were 5-5 back and forth, and then the preceding team was able to win the final 2 to obviously get the job done. Really, really good shine from Virtus.pro, because there were many moments in that game, especially on Bank, where you could easily see, and you could see after that Bolo clutch, I think it was Pasha, I can't recall, you know, double face palm, slouch in the chair, and just kind of felt like maybe it was going to get away from them. Not to be, though. This match, this semi-upper bracket game has got it all. Don't go too far. When we come back, we head to Skyscraper.
Win condition and last time on basement, there's only one downside. They do have less utility in some ways, because when you're playing something around the plant deny, well, you have to also get the entry denial. That's why Citizen is on the Fenrir. If you walk down blue, walk down main staircase, walk in third, whatever your priorities are, a Fenrir mine might be there to spot you out, near-side you, and make you unable to push forward. One Magnus here from Rexon to protect the players from any possible nades or a flashbang to stall things out further. So a lot of utility being brought out, but at the same time, you cannot really risk losing any of these defenders. So your goal, have everyone stay alive for as long as possible, get to that like 30-40 seconds where all the passive gadgets and active gadgets have been utilized, all magnets have been charged up, then Rexon can throw his life away as he has to, Ambient Bandit can throw his life away as well. Same with Citizen, but Geo and Grixer, they have to stay alive as Echo and Smoke.
Just a brief update on what's going on the other stream. For those of you that want to know, spoilers inbound. Close your ears for about 10 seconds or so. DZVP is heading to map number 3 after DZ went up 1-0. VP have clawed it back. And a third map will be required between these two titans. Same can be said for Sonics and FaZe, providing Sonics ride out the favorable side here on Clubhouse and prevail on this church defense down below. But so far, the attackers have done quite well in overtime.
That they have. It's a big surprise. We know FaZe, they love this blue attack, but surely they cannot do it 3 times, right? It's gonna be a bit of fake here. Church wall opened up, 1 member in blue. We don't know where the exact push is coming from.
There goes all of this church wall, by the way. 3 Selmas tossed out. And that means that Ambi has to hit the deck. Taking out a C4, throwing it. The explosive does not net what he wanted. Now it's Cyber to come in through blues. These tracers over his head. The Bees are there to hold down these players from Sonics, but none find their marks. Handy striking first. Down goes Ambi. Grixer is gone as well. 3 players from Sonics remain. Their run in the upper bracket, hinging upon the remaining players as Cyber's now worked his way into the bomb site. And he sees the Wamai, down he goes. Could it be a flawless round? Yes, it is! Cyber taking no prisoners. And FaZe Clan taking both maps as they move to the upper bracket finals. A Brazilian team going deep in Brazil like it was written in the stars. FaZe Clan have been so good in this map, and this match has been no exception. They beat Sonics 2-0.
Mind that FaZe are breaking hearts of fans right now. They beat out G2, sending them to the lower bracket, now beating Sonics, doing the same exact things, and showing how consistent they are throughout the many years in Siege. Despite different roster iterations, they are here to stay, and they will represent Brazil in the upper bracket, so they get one more shot before even going down to lower. They have 2 games on main stage at least.
Absolutely. So the Brazilian fans will have something to cheer for. Fans around the world who support FaZe Clan, who might not be based here in Brazil, also have something to cheer for. If you don't know how the bracket works, Sonics are not gone. They go down to the lower bracket, but we got the desk to talk to our winners.
Congratulations to FaZe Clan, who take down Sonics, but those 2 squads, or at least Sonics specifically, have not been eliminated just yet. They'll be dropping down to the lower bracket, and we'll talk about that in a second. But here, joining us is FaZe Clan with KDS.
Hello everyone.
How you feeling?
Amazing. Top 3 in the Six Invitational in Brazil. It's amazing.
How does it feel now that you're going to get to play on stage? You were already set to play on stage, but you're going to have an advantage going into it. You're close to getting to the final. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the first time I play Six Invitational with the crown, and in Brazil, it's amazing, the feeling.
Fabian?
So far, you've played obviously Sonics, G2, and lost 1.
Yeah.
That is a very tough bracket to get through. What is it that makes you guys just so good at competing against these top tiers or top tier teams and just always win?
I think what you are gonna do is continue to play aggressive sometimes, or other times just waiting, then getting the free kills. And I think that is the thing we are doing, and playing happy and confident with the team.
On top of that, you say opportunity taking. It seems like you guys have adaptations to almost everything that your opponents are doing. It's like you have this perfect understanding and reading of this is the next move that we have to do. Is that because you guys have so much trust in each other and you believe in each other to always make the right decisions?
Yeah, for sure. Like in the round we play, I think Oregon.
Yeah.
I just go in the white stairs with the drone. If I got killed, fine. If I'm not, we don't care, you know.
Yeah.
We just playing our game, and I think this is the best for us.
Yeah, and you love each other. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Honestly, that camaraderie really does show in FaZe and the entire squad. You trust one another. I think it's very important to do that. Now, with this victory, anything you'd like to say to all the fans out there of FaZe and of yours, and you can do it also in Portuguese, here to camera 4.
Thank you everyone to support FaZe and send messages. We are working a lot to win this Six Invitational, and yeah, that's it.
In Portuguese?
No,
it's fine.
English. No.
It's English, good enough.
Look at him. It's not Portuguese fans. Anything though to the Brazilian fans who are going to see you on Friday?
Espero que todo mundo aproveite o tempo no Ibirapuera. Vai ser grande evento e é isso.
Thank you very much, KDS.
Thank you.
Congratulations, FaZe Clan. They move on, defeating Sonics. Thank you again, and good luck in the rest of the tournament. There it is, our match summary, 2-0 between FaZe and Sonics. However, you flip a coin and maybe this game goes the complete opposite way from one moment to the next, yet still fresh. FaZe, incredible performance in that max OT.
Absolutely, and I think I've got probably the weakest analysis I've ever done. They've all got the same trainers on, and it's in the FaZe colours. And that's why they won. It's very simple.
Oh yeah, there it is. Let's head to a break, shall we?
Yeah. In reality,
good at hosting.
this team is so good at changing their playstyle within round.
Yeah.
Within round to round, but within a round, they can change what the outcome is and what their win condition is. Add on to the fact they've got some of the most incredibly talented players on this game, and they punish every mistake that the opponent makes. They're looking like probably the favourites right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm trying to find their problems, like their mistakes, but it's almost impossible.
We sit and look there, don't we? We're like, how can we criticize them? Well, what's their weakness?
There isn't one, because they just keep going. And if they lose a round, they have the adaptations for the next one, or completely just pull another strat out of their hat. They just have answers to everything. They truly have the master key to everything that their opponent puts in front of them.
If FaZe is stumping both Fresh and Fabian in this, I really wonder what sort of analyst or coach on the other side that are going to play FaZe later on in the tournament, how they're going to find those weak spots and be able to fragment them themselves.
And it's just the mentals. Like, if you look at the teams that I just mentioned to KDS, which teams have they gone up against? It's some of the greatest teams that we have still in the bracket. And they just, nope. we're here to play, we're here to win, and that's what they're doing.
I think one round really exemplifies this, which is our intel play the game. Play of the game. Bring it up. Here it is. And that dive here, you'll see from Cyber. Look at it. Perfect positioning, Fresh.
Yeah, he played this round exceptionally well. And this is one of the things about basically everybody in FaZe, but especially him. Some of the shots that he hit inside of this round was just absolutely exceptional. Sonics thought they had this round won, and then just Cyber just turned up, bang, bang, changed around again. And that's exactly what he does. That shot onto the shield. Nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen to behind the shield, that one is nuts.
It's when, like, we say FaZe don't really strategically. Obviously, they don't win every round, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you don't strategically win a round, and then you've got a player that pops up and just can absolutely just change around just through pure FPS and intelligence. Cyber did.
And why is that the play of the game? Is because not just, hey, oh, you need to get like 5 kills in a row to make it really flashy and cool. No, it's because the flank came down at the right moment and got the kills that are oh so necessary to win what was probably the most important round in that entire game.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the first overtime round. So you want that round on your side because it puts pressure on your opponent. Which, well, sure, Sonics did come back on that round, but overall, it's just so impressive the way that they play. And then Cyber, he has that extra spice on top to hit those shots.
I love that when you put a little spice on top. Thanks, Fabian. Let's go on and look at our bracket. Things have moved slightly this morning. Of course, we don't have a ton of games, but as you'll see, FaZe 2-0ing Sonics. Both FaZe and Sonics will be playing in the main event in Sao Paulo come this weekend. However, currently DarkZero and Virtus.pro are tied 1-1, and it is a barn burner of a game, a classic NAEU, very tight. That is on Rainbow Six Bravo stream. You can watch it on there, and I hope that at least it comes out with one of the best games that we've had so far in the tournament, because I have to say, yesterday we had a lot of bangers with our elimination matches.
Yeah, we absolutely did. Elimination just adds that extra little bit of pressure to absolutely everything. The intensity that, for example, in the Liquid game, it's just the emotion that happened in there, that's what elimination's about.
You know, I love elimination, mostly just because I can see players cry, make my day better.
Wait, didn't you get a pity invite to an event?
Doesn't matter, I've still won 3 of them. How many have Team Liquid won? I don't remember.
Hey, remember where we are, buddy.
So we go the distance. It's 1-1 here on the B stream between DarkZero and Virtus.pro, both unable to separate, especially here on Bank. Able to win both of their map picks, guys, which I think really highlighting that there's not much between these two teams. We need Skyscraper to separate them to see who is going to take on FaZe Clan in the upper bracket final on the main stage. A daunting task, of course, for those unaware in terms of the A stream. Sonics lose out. It does become a very difficult proposition.
Yeah, can DarkZero keep the hopes and dreams of North America alive in the upper bracket? It was a fantastically close map for both teams, and each round, I guess, individually, also coming down to the wire on multiple occasions as well. Devastation for Virtus.pro off the back of a huge clutch from Bolo, who really made his presence known here on Bank, but multiple clutch attempts and executes as well across the board. I'm almost lost for words, stumbling through this replay package just because there's so many insane moments. That one as well,
yeah.
Canadian with the Yokai drone. We saw Teller's Archives played twice from DarkZero, but Virtus.pro eventually able to break it.
The general consensus from me so far, Chalet, Bank, with the amount of rounds that we've seen, has been that DarkZero have looked a lot better in clutching up rounds, key moments. But that doesn't necessarily mean you've been the better team. If you're clutching up, it means that things have gone wrong prior to said clutch. Now, great in terms of the clutch ability factor of DarkZero. It's been ever present. But I think at moments, Virtus.pro, especially on Bank, just looked a little stronger throughout the map. And you can probably see that in terms of the EPS rating. Everyone on VP pulled their weight. No one was dragging their feet. The one area, though, of concern for VP probably was the first kill ratio, where I think DarkZero were able to have those kind of 5-on-3, 5-on-4 moments. VP were able to bring it back. And so for obviously, both teams have been able to have pretty clear standout performances on Bank and on Chalet. Now we go to Skyscraper, and it's like, how do you separate that? Like, I at this point, I don't know how you separate that.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough. I think, it's going to come down to those attacks. They're going to come at a premium here on Skyscraper, and both teams at the death late round in the face of an execute defensively have actually looked quite strong. You could see it there again in the stat line that despite struggling on the opening entry, VP in the late round, really, really strong. So let's prepare ourselves then for Skyscraper, the third and final map in this best of 3. Winner continues on in the upper bracket. Loser, of course, will have to make the run through the lower.
And look at that prediction. It's got lower and lower and lower for each map, down to just 56% now for DarkZero. Hard to predict this one as we are very much getting ready to get in. We can all see that at the moment as we begin. For Skyscraper, it will be another testing map between these two teams that have gone back and forth quite literally in the rounds, in now the maps. And it is all down to this one map, this one singular best of one, to determine who moves forward to the upper bracket final in the main stage against a Brazilian juggernaut in FaZe Clan.
So now we pose a question as to what bans we'll see. Ying and Dokkaebi have been a staple throughout this series, and I don't think that that's going to change up all too much here on Skyscraper. So we'll see how things shape up. It is, of course, VP to respond, and they'll be attacking first in this particular map. And they do respond with the Ying. Now, defensively, I'm intrigued to see what gets brought out. We saw a lot of echo play on the previous map. So there's every world in which VP take that down, but very difficult probably to justify in the face of other very strong defensive operators at the moment. And understandably, Virtus.pro not wanting to play against the Azami.
Now, I mentioned, of course, what the winner gets in terms of taking on FaZe Clan. Well, the loser will be taking on the winner of the game after this, which is G2 and Bliss. So that is the pathway then forward. Now, of course, both of these two teams will be on the main stage regardless. They make the arena because of the position they already find themselves in. Jaeger gets banned out, which is actually not one that I've seen in a long, long time. Shepard counterban, says Nave. And we head into Skyscraper, opening round. DZ on the defense, Virtus.pro will be attacking. Now, so far to know, in terms of Chalet and in terms of Bank, both first halves were Virtus.pro defending, and they were 3-3 scorelines. Well, for the first time in the series, we see Virtus.pro now on the attack to begin here on Skyscraper, a map where attacking has been incredibly difficult. It is the worst attacker-rated map at 6 Invitational so far. It has a very nice defensive win rate at 69%.
That was pretty funny, I will say. I was more so focusing in on some of the stats. I was looking at the Jaeger pick percentage at the event thus far. In the single digits, only at 8% so far. So certainly a target ban coming out from DarkZero, reading into some of the setups from Virtus.pro. And I'll be intrigued to see how VP respond in the second half. They are starting out on attack though this time round, and we'll see how they're able to contest these setups from DarkZero. Mirror in play, as well as Maestro. So strong anchor operators available. Valkyrie also in play. Now last time over on Bank, especially with the Echo being prevalent as well, we did see Dan eventually transition across to IQ, hard counter those operators. This time though, starting out on the Grim, and we'll track as to whether or not he switches up later on.
So we begin what feels like the final charge for these two teams. 24 rounds have been played, and so far we cannot separate them. More required. NJR holding over towards VIP. A single wall gets opened up. Obviously saw the MP get thrown over towards Evil Eye. Pasha makes his way in as well on the balcony outside of this kitchen position for Virtus.pro. I don't know why I was about to say for DarkZero. Canadian holding up above. And interestingly enough as well, not a Tea Room Karaoke start. It is going to be off an exhibition. Tea Room Karaoke, typically like the first choice option, if you will, for teams defensively on this map. Drone shot out. Only 5 now remaining for the side of Virtus.pro.
Pretty big extension here from DarkZero deep in towards T, as opposed to perhaps being a little bit more restrained through Throne and Drum. Canadian to contest. Gives the call to Pamper, who's able to sweep up. Follow drops down as well for the extension / roam from DarkZero, proving to be a success. VP on a map where, again, statistically they haven't been great. Fortunately, not off the best of starts.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair, DarkZero getting in their face nice and early, and again, but this time shut down. Always with a good shot onto Canadian. Does at least open things up ever so slightly for VP. Looking for this sweep across push now from Tea Room Karaoke side. Shepard has droned out Drum, which is uncontested. So is the mezzanine. Does mean, of course, DarkZero have fallen back over the site. We can see that there with the overhead. Close by to Joystick, though. NJR over towards Dragon. Same with Pambazoo. Joystick, obviously, now making his way towards this direction. Really doesn't have much to aid for himself in terms of helping clear this. It's a dry swing. Dry peak, but only 35 seconds left. You don't have many other choices remaining in the round for Virtus.pro. Shepard has the kit, but he still finds himself over towards T-Room, a long way away from sight. Yellow ping comes out. Joystick must find something here, but no reason to swing or peek from Pambazoo. And he has NJR close by, and it can be a double swing that is successful. NJR losing his life by Shepard. Again, with the kit in hand, he must not fall here, and does not. 2 versus 2, but needs to push into sight and get the plant down. Always is there to cover. The red ping now from Bolo. Can he get involved? He certainly should be able to with the impacts and the double red pings. Plant going down next to him. Nitrocell thrown out. Does not deny Shepard, but it's an easy push at that point in the 2 versus 1. And a really strong start now from DarkZero to open things up on Skyscraper.
Really good stall out there from DarkZero in that dragon position. Unfortunately, Shepard was in an awkward spot. Couldn't necessarily flash it out to create space then for Joystick, who we saw was dry peeking that position for quite some time. Virtus.pro stalled out really off the back of the extension through T there from DarkZero. Really like that defensive setup. Virtus.pro perhaps not anticipating it. They did an okay job in the end to eventually clear it and trade, but man down in the face of a lot of late round utility as well was always going to be a challenge. And I wouldn't be too surprised if this shapes up to be very defender-started.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before, 69% defensive win rate here on Skyscraper. DarkZero probably a little bit more favored on this map as well, and starting on the defense. Kind of go and look at the defensive win rate. 58%, yeah, maybe on the lower side when it comes to DZ. Here in Karaoke now for the second round, after opting to go and start on Office and Exhibition. It was the sweep across from BP in the first round.
10 seconds left before
Question now will be if they look to do that again here in the second round and come in from that Office and Exhibition side, or if they go a little bit more direct. Geisha down below, Vert, Barbecue and Kitchen, try and put pressure on site. The way they're shaping up though, well, it could be direct, especially with that blitz. Let's end Ossa, by the way. Double shield setup here from Virtus.pro.
We've seen a little bit of Ossa in the series so far. Unfortunately, though, the impact of that particular operator hasn't necessarily been felt directly. So we'll see if Shepard is able to get in an advanced position with those Talon shields and create some playmaking opportunities for the team. Grim sees more playtime as well. Big talking point at this event is the impact of the Grim. Even banned out on a few occasions as well. Especially post-buff and the ability to rebound the Hive launcher. Opens up more playmaking opportunities because you don't necessarily have to dry peek corners, which was clearly one of the big issues with that particular operator on launch.
It is looking like it'll be pretty direct and also vert in nature. We're not really seeing Virtus.pro positioning towards Office and Exhibition. There's a lot more on that first floor over towards Kitchen and Barbecue. Geisha window opened up as well. So I think the plan right now for VP is very much going to hit site. They're not going to clear out drums, not going to clear out the mezzanine. And Joystick now making his way in. Top black stairs. Smoke goes out, and they've got the rotate hole as well in towards Karaoke. The Repel 2 to come through with the Ossa Talon shield by Shepard. The kit in hand and trying to find a way to now get this plant down successfully. Again, they do have a bit of that vert, and JR losing his life to Joystick. Where's the deny going to come from now for DarkZero? It has to be this Nitrocell, and it needs to be perfect, and it is. Perfectly placed by Naif with the throw, and now a recovery mission here for Virtus.pro to get that kit and get it down. And Canadian lurks down below.
Phenomenal job there from DarkZero, relaying information that the plant was going down, and the denial hits the spot. Canadian still down below. He too with a Nitro Cell in pocket. Oh, he spotted him. Shots to come through with the MPX, good for one, but now it's Joystick to hunt him down. Blitz shield in the face of the Valk. Finds that trade. 50 seconds in a 3v3.
Makes it a little bit more easier to now recover that diffuser. No real vert option here for DarkZero. Looking at it from below. Always gets another one. Oh, they actually going to trade. What a quick little trade between Always and Pambazoo. Pasha pushes through, gets the kill onto Bolo, laying prone. 2 versus 1, down to Naif. 30 seconds left, goes with the diffuser as Naif wins that one. And it's all down to the blitz of Joystick, hunting him down. Quite literally running at Naif. Goes for the pistol shot through the doorway. He is low, very low. And Joystick will get it done with the pistol. Who needs the shield anyway? What a round from Joystick and what a round for Virtus.pro.
Big from Joystick. Able to send it down below for the trade onto Canadian. And then so composed in the 1 versus 1. Nafe trapped, awkward position. And Joystick playing it to perfection. Fantastic peak. And a player that you would back to win those kinds of situations. It wasn't the greatest of starts for VP. The information available for the plant denial was perfect at the start, and it was Nafe on the warden to get that first pick. But then the win condition changed. Virtus.pro recognizing that collecting that diffuser and going for the plant was going to be incredibly difficult, so instead hunted down those defenders, put them on an island, and then Joystick with this phenomenal shot.
Yeah, and it was Joystick as well that cleared down below earlier on Canadian, so really utilizing that blitz properly and just using not so much the shield, but honestly his feet just running around the map, clearing out positions, and had the final position as well to get that win for Virtus.pro. And that's probably the kind of moment that I think throughout this series, DarkZero have probably won far more often than, say, Virtus.pro. So a really good little individual moment for Joystick. Massive for Virtus.pro to win a close encounter at the end of a round. T-Room and Karaoke, no good with DZ. Instead, they now go down below, over towards Kitchen and Barbecue for this 3rd round. Obviously, Offers and Exhibition still locked out.
We've talked a lot about Solace throughout this series, and in particular, Canadian, the impact that he's been able to provide. Unfortunately, on map 1 of Chalet, because he was hunting down those drones, he was often taken down first and put on an island by Virtus.pro. But as this series has progressed, his impact has become more and more prevalent. We'll see if Virtus.pro are still able to collect information. Critical to show initiative on attack, goes without saying. Nitro Cell early in the piece from Nafe to deny hard breach on the Geisha wall. And that will just make that a little bit more awkward for the attack to enter through. They'll need to invest more on that position if they want
Bro,
an
there's
entry
3
point.
drones left. On a map of Skyscraper, you really need that information. Such a big horizontal map, multi-layered, and you got 3 drones with 2 minutes in the round. That is a really good job from DarkZero in, again, denying the drone game of Virtus.pro. And an ever-present threat that has been established now through all 3 maps has been DZ on defense, bringing that solace, denying the drones of Virtus.pro early in these rounds. These are not like late-round drone denials. This is just very early on. On a map like Skyscraper, there's so many chokeholds to push through. You want those drones. And they've only got 2 remaining.
Yeah, not much in the way of map control. Slowly now just filtering through for the clear. But going in blind. DarkZero from this position, yes, it's a 5 versus 5, but they will be able to play, realistically, any position to catch the attack off guard. Canadian still gathering more information, and knows that this push through drum will come in a moment. The Rooney Gate to just stall it out for a moment, but it is Dan the first to fall. So this is going to be tough for Virtus.pro, even more so at the man disadvantage.
Yeah, again, no information, dry swinging, understanding, yeah, there might be some members of DZ around these choke point areas like Drum. They just don't have the information. Down 2 players now. A very strong defensive round from DarkZero, but Canadian caught close by on the stairs, and a nice little shoulder peek from Joystick eventually gets the spot, then the kill. Job done, though, from Canadian, considering there's only been 1 drone remaining inside of the map for basically the last 30 seconds, with 30 seconds to go. Hive launcher now used by Shepard down the hallway. And Bolo up close again, never got droned out because there's just no drones inside of the server. Joystick should be able to get this trade on the buck, opens up a side angle, but no, Bolo's just too clinical. A real strong defensive round from DarkZero, denied map control, denied information. They were absolutely difficult to dislodge. Bolo gets 3 to close it out, and DarkZero take the lead.
It's one thing to take down drones and for Canadian to spearhead that on the solos, but you still have to play as a compact defensive unit and be relaying that and ensuring that you're then playing in positions that punish it. And Bolo, really good example there. He's on the T half wall position. It's not something that's easy to clear, especially without information. So well played by Bolo. Rest of the team as well doing their job really nicely on that occasion. Skyscraper is very difficult to get map control. At the best of times, no information. It's near impossible. So fantastic work there from DZ.
Thought that was maybe an option back into the round, but Bolo was just very difficult to clear out. You could see on that first entry as well, over towards that position, they had no idea. DarkZero take a 2-1 lead. And again, we continue this back and forth nature between these two teams. Everything about this series is saying this should go the
5
distance.
seconds to insertion.
DarkZero would rather that not happen though. Again, it's a super defender side. The onus is on DZ to, well, at minimum, get probably 4 rounds. And probably not allow Virtus.pro to get anything else here.
I mean, we keep talking about drone economy, right? 3 drones are already, and we're not even really into the bulk of the action phase. So it's rough. I get it. I understand it. It's very, very challenging for the attack. It's easy to sit here and say, why are they sacking drones? But just something that VP need to be super mindful of. Replace Nitro, already ripped by Nafe. Samurai window goes out. Dan able to escape that and open up single wall.
Opened up successfully with no casualty either. But the Nitrocell. As we see, joystick actually droning again. This does really feel like a very important part of the game. Canadian, despite not being on the Solars, he's playing that mute. He's still playing that kind of role, denying these drones, denying information from across the other side of the map. Despite the fact it's Office and Exhibition, he finds himself over towards that T-Room and Karaoke position. At the moment, inside a T-Room. And just flicking some cams, of course, placed by the Valkyrie of Pambazoo. Always making his way up Black Stairs. Slow-paced push from Virtus.pro. Not really too surprising, though. They're a team that has roughly 1:30 on the entry time. So it's about this point in the round that we typically will see Virtus.pro start to really make their way and make some headway. Nitrocell don't even think that got that far. Certainly got nothing from it for Canadian, but a stand-up kill for the SMG-11 is absolutely pinpoint perfect. The headshot onto Always comes through. The ace is taken off the board. No response, at least not rapidly, either from Virtus.pro. And spending a lot of time trying to just deal with Canadian. And eventually, though, dealt with.
Yeah, decent clear there from Virtus.pro. That extension from DZ once more in towards D has bought them quite a bit of time. Canadian good for 1, and despite falling, it now leaves only Virtus.pro with about a minute to make this push work. Pamba, probably the next to play contact, as Dan is there holding the line currently. Do they have info on this Virtus.pro? You would presume there's a player in this position again. The flashes don't land. But the high launcher does. Pamba forced back.
Yeah, I like that, though, from Pamba. Fall back, got the rotate option anyway. Plays sight, there's 30 seconds left. Don't need to take contact at that point in the round. So far, this has been so clean from DarkZero. Earlier on from Canadian. Yeah, he lost his life, but it was job done. Denied a lot of time and position. Now Pambazoo gave up Dragon, but he can go for a flank option as well from the mezzanine. Port is Dan. Because of Pambazoo's willingness to go for the rotate rather than holding the position towards Dragon, and DarkZero strangulating Virtus.pro right now here on Skyscraper. It's only Pasha. He got 1 kill, but it didn't matter because it was outgunned and outnumbered on sight. That was perfect from DZ. Start to finish. Canadian with the hold. A solo hold as well. Denying drones, denying position, denying time. Eventually lost his life, yes, but he got at least 1 kill for it. He honestly didn't even need that. And eventually then through Dragon, Pambazoo, the flashes really weren't that successful. He holds, 30 seconds left, goes to the rotate. Really well worked from DZ, made it so difficult for Virtus.pro to attack into that round. And so much so, a tactical timeout, as they're starting to feel the pressure here in this third map.
Even with amps and shock drones from the Twitch, Virtus.pro finding it difficult to deal with that T-hold, which was fortified with the mute jammers. Even once wall was open, Canadian still good for 1. With Hive launches then in play, Canadian felt the need to probably try and escape and was caught. But a 4v4, minute to go, only a few drones remaining. I mean, you make that formula, and more often than not, the answer is going to be a defensive round win. So solid work there from DarkZero. And here's a look back at that hold from Canadian.
Yeah, well, it starts there, right? And you think, well, what's the win condition for Virtus.pro to turn that round in a different direction? And it basically is you've got to clear out Canadian, a far more efficient approach. So who do you put the onus on? Well, it's actually Canadian. Canadian has to have a really good game plan there. Denies drones, plays position off of his mute jammers, and eventually gets information himself, plays off of that, gets a kill. So he's the one that has made it difficult for VP there. If someone else is in that position and plays it poorly, then VP probably clear that player on an island, creates the 5 versus 4, and then they can push forward, overload a position like Dragon. That's, again, highlighting where it's like, it's less to do with VP and more to do with what Canadian essentially did in that round. Especially also then those on site too. Not really overstepping the mark. No one felt like they also needed to go for a trade because they didn't really need to. There wasn't much time left in the round. Hero and Karaoke now into the 5th, and DarkZero have got themselves a 2-round lead. For those maybe only just tuning in or only catching this map in particular, in terms of this series, I don't think we've ever had a team get a 3-round lead. It's either been 2 or 1. Now this becomes a very big round for Virtus.pro. Yes, it's super defender-sided, and this could very well be a game where they both go like 5-1 defensive halves. That is a possibility. But in terms of the landscape of this series, Virtus.pro have never really allowed DZ to get that far out in front.
Well, it's taken 4 rounds as we enter the 5th. The IQ now enters the arena. We saw it on Bank, and it was pretty impactful in being able to deny the information gathering tools of DarkZero, which have persisted largely here into map 3. Naif on the Valk. No solo slow this time around for DarkZero. So Pasha not with quite as much necessarily to do, but needs to ensure that he is efficient. 5 drones taken down in the early portion of this round. Pamba doing a great job at farming those and holding this side of the map. It's a triple stack on the Bulk. Canadians down below with the Nitro, so keep an eye on him as well.
Yeah, I mean, close to a quad stack with how much pressure they're putting over towards this office side. Obviously, Canadian down below. Factor, you might immediately on the entry. Oh, the Nitro self. Just short of the mark. Yeah, a bit of damage on the Chef. Would have loved to have gotten that kill, though, for DZ. The sake, Canadian down below with that Nitro cell. Obviously, trying to play off of the sound cue. And another one thrown out as well towards that main bridge. But look at the pressure being applied right now. This is not even sight. Pasha also steps into another Guma. Like, it is just impossible to enter the building. And that is what DarkZero are basically doing to Virtus.pro, making it difficult to enter the building, despite the fact that they've even brought the Montag.
And VP haven't really shown a willingness to send a lurker down below, whether that be the likes of the Buck Divert up above, or just to try and capture any of these roamers on their venture back towards the objective. They simply haven't employed that. The DarkZero being allowed to get away with it. Good example there with Pamba dropping the hatch, getting back towards site uncontested, doesn't have to really worry about being cut off on that journey back. For Virtus.pro, they need to now be perfect elsewhere. Otherwise, they will ultimately be punished. Information still up. Frag grenade to try and deal with the BPC, but that does not land.
Not often you get to just watch that frag grenade just explode in front of the BPC. Bulletproof camera, of course. 45 seconds left, and again, not much headway made from BP. There were a couple of moments, though, back on Bank where they were able to win out these kind of rounds simply just by sheer aggression on site, pushing in, getting up a couple of really good headshots. Free plays from Naif. Down below, they VP don't even really have much vert pressure either. It's all rather horizontal. The IQ does its job, though, to avoid that Nitro cell. Understanding there is one playing down below. 20 seconds, though. Time, the biggest factor again. Always making the rappel in. Gasbabe immediately on his position, trying to play off of that Ossa towards Karaoke. That's the win condition right now for Virtus.pro. Always trying to get that plant. He was forced out momentarily through the rotate. He has to push forward. And it's the kills right now. Free-flowing kills from DarkZero. The round is over. It's a 4-1 lead for DarkZero. An onslaught here. Skyscraper defense proving to be too strong for Virtus.pro. DZ 3 rounds away from an upper bracket final date with FaZe Clan.
DarkZero making very few mistakes defensively at the moment. It started off with a really good roam on the exhibition office side of the map. Despite the Nitro cell early on not landing, Pamba was allowed to vacate that position, and as mentioned, no lurk potential from the attack meant that he could get back towards site. Then the rest of the team holding down the objective. A little bit of pressure over towards Drum, but not much. Still, though, Virtus.pro were stalled out. Eventually got Geisha, and looking to facilitate the plant off the back of the Talon shield, but no pressure down below meant that even if there was a world in which they won more picks on site, there was Nitro denial down below. So many conditions left available there for DarkZero to get that one across the line. They now have the biggest lead in this series so far.
Now, we'll add, mind you, the final round of this half. In terms of the reality here, if Virtus.pro get a second attacking round, this is actually a pretty good half. Like, as much momentum as DarkZero have and as good as they have been playing, they still have to maintain that now for one more round. Get that 5-1 lead, really nail home defensive advantage of Skyscraper, and really then means for Virtus.pro, yes, they get to go on the defense themselves, but they're also playing at a deficit. If Virtus.pro get this second attacking round, it suddenly makes their life a lot easier, far more manageable going into that second half. So despite all of this momentum for DarkZero, it's still a round where VP can gain so much. And this is still a massive round despite that scoreline, which says 4 to DarkZero and 1 to Virtus.pro. It's not really a true reflection of this game right now.
So Pamba again to play contact exhibition side of the map. With those goo mines in hand, he can help fortify his position, set up an alarm system to make it difficult for the attack to encroach on his position. Reinforcements up and lines of sight make this a challenge for Virtus.pro as Pamba continues to dash around. Canadian elsewhere once again on the solos, looking to chip away at drone utility for already taken down a minute into this round. There are though Brava clutch drones in play. Perhaps an opportunity for always back some utility we saw default taken down earlier. And if he can maybe find a Velcor too, that could change the tide of the round. BPC once again in position. Looking over this bulk. What's out? Canadian. So far not bad from VP. Canadian tries, I think, to impact the bulletproof camera, but yeah, evidently that doesn't land.
Not heavily required anyway to have gotten rid of that. Not really absolutely needed, but would have been nice. Obviously up to the clutch drone, did its job. A minute 20 remaining, final round of the half here. Every single map so far has been a 3-3. That will not be the case here. Back on Chalet and Bank, of course. DarkZero opting. Once again, they play close to sight with the vert hold. Canadian outside in towards Bar, playing on this solos, but the drone game's been a little bit better this time around for Virtus.pro, able to keep the vast majority of their drones in play late into the piece. With under 60 seconds remaining, they still have 5 drones to utilize. And so that's already a big improvement from Virtus.pro. But alas, they've still not been able to get any kills from having these drones, but a little bit more pressure onto Canadian as he gets pinged out. And dead. And that's much better from BP. Can they capitalize now with the execute towards site? Smokes go out, always deep in looking for this plant. I don't think you're going to be able to get denied initially. It looks as if this will be a successful plant, and it is for Virtus.pro. And they win their gun battles as well elsewhere. A response in a much needed round. And suddenly changes the dynamics of this match with this one singular round to give them a second attacking round. Unless Bolo can win a 1 versus 4. It's a very daunting task, a very difficult one, but you always have to back yourself in. Have any kind of chance. It always starts with 1 kill, followed up by a second, but 1 to not find there for Bolo. Wanted to see if someone would then swing the doorway, but Virtus.pro are not giving him an inch, guys. They are not making any kind of movement that would give Bolo any kind of chance. The kill onto joystick, but at this point needs to stick the diffuser, and obviously it's being watched, and now out of time. 4-2 to close out the half.
A phenomenal attack there from Virtus.pro. They did a phenomenal job in hunting down Canadian. We saw the drone work from VP and then the ability to push through the likes of delivery, reception as well to greet him. Canadian perhaps second-guessing himself a little bit. He elected to drop down the stairs. Maybe it was to try and fake out the attack. I'm not entirely sure the reasoning behind it, but it was rightly punished by VP. 2 attacking rounds certainly changes the complexion of this match significantly. I'm very intrigued to see how their defense will shape up.
Yeah, essentially 70% defensive sided on this map. And the other caveat to this approach, which I haven't really mentioned, is also the team defensive win rate for Virtus.pro is 5% higher than DarkZero, 63% to 58%. So they're just naturally a better defensive team on a very defensive map. And again, getting that second attacking round also relieves a bit of that pressure. You're not 4 rounds down. Now it's only 2. And suddenly with those 2 attacking rounds, now the onus and the pressure goes back over to DarkZero. Despite the fact that they lead 4-2, you need to now find a way to get these attacking rounds on a very defender-sided map. So if DarkZero are to do this and book their place against FaZe Clan in the arena in the upper bracket final, they will do so on their own merit of having been able to attack into a Virtus.pro defense on a the most defender-sided map. And so they will have earned it. The question is, can they do it? And we're about to find out to begin this second half.
Amaru in play then for the first attacking round for DZ. Very intrigued to see what they're going to try and cook up here. Perhaps Canadian will be looking for an opportunistic play. Enters down below. Black stairs, but the flames will push him back. I thought for a moment that he would push through, but instead goes for the latter option to stay down below.
Well, completely chaotic to begin that round, but I don't mind it because it may catch Virtus.pro off guard. The fact that they're losing these 1v1s, sure, not ideal for DarkZero, but it's at least a set play that they've clearly thought about to try and maybe catch VP off guard. Doesn't come to fruition, not straight away. 4 versus 3, but always is low. Joysticks take a bit of a beating. Admittedly, Bolo and Canadian not in the greatest shape either. Now think back actually earlier to the much earlier portions of this wonderful tournament was Bleed versus Virtus.pro. And it was Skyscraper in which Bleed decimated VP with their attack, especially on Skyscraper. They made them look second rate. And a lot of it came through this Amaru play. And I do wonder if DZ have kind of watched that and taken a little bit of inspiration.
Well, they're at the deficit currently. So we'll see if they're able to grind out this round and maybe bring it back. It will be a challenge though. And a couple drones remain, and Canadian on one of said drones currently. We're going to try and find some info for Nath and Bolo to play off of. Guman goes off. So the position, I believe it was of Nath, will perhaps now be exposed. Canadian still down below. Supernova in hand. Great position if there's information gathering tool available, but as mentioned, there really isn't at the moment for DZ.
Yeah, the good thing as well, this fast-paced round means you've also still got time to salvage it after, yeah, it went astray to begin with. But at least it kind of forced the issue. 3 versus 4, but certainly still winnable if they can hit a couple of shots in quick succession. Dan takes a bit of damage. Over towards T-Room and Karaoke, we now turn our attention, always, deep inside of Karaoke. Some final drone work to come out, and when I say final drone, I mean final drone. One left for DarkZero. Canadian trying to see if someone wants to make their presence known. They find an early kill, checks right side corner, no one there. And time is now against DarkZero with the kit in hand for Canadian. Something special would have to happen. He gets one, and into the corner he goes for the default joystick, though, a response and knows exactly where the veteran gamer is going for the plant. And that should be the round. Indeed it is for Virtus.pro. They deal with the fast rush, they deal with the Amaru, and eventually then the slow-paced attack into its sight. Despite the fact that DZ got themselves into a planting position, Virtus.pro had time, and they were able to then respond to the plant going down 4-3, bringing this one back.
I quite liked the ability for DarkZero there to try and problem solve so deep into the round. One drone left, Canadian spots player T half wall. They know that they can probably then, with Nath clearing the angle, try and plant hard right, but they had to cover Canadian. Some really good counterplay from Virtus.pro. Didn't really put a foot wrong, and of course joystick really popped off and being able to dislodge that. So fantastic play from both teams in the late round, but also as a whole, Virtus.pro kicked it off nicely. Doing a good job to just put the aggression at the start of the round to rest, because there is that window of opportunity, or there was that window of opportunity for DarkZero to run away with it at the start, but they were able to hold firm.
If Joystick loses that battle there, I think honestly DarkZero can probably win that round, especially if Canadian successfully gets a plant down, and that's how close that round it ended up coming to.
10 seconds to go.
Fortunately, we're at a point in the tournament where there's only 8 teams remaining, guys. And of those 8 teams, the vast majority of them are pretty good at this game. So this is turning into a really, really good series between 2 teams that are clearly going back and forth. Both are rated as 2 out of the top 3 in terms of attacking siege as well. So really able to understand the current meta and how they can kind of push through this super defender-sided meta. But it's a tough ask on a map like Skyscraper. And so this will obviously end up favoring the defenses. But now for Virtus.pro, even though they're down 4-3, it does kind of feel like they're in a really solid position moving forward. And DarkZero will only have so many rounds to get themselves at least 2 attacking rounds for overtime at minimum.
So the Capital once again is going to be brought out here from DarkZero. Mixed success back on bank, frequently used to help flush out super powerful defensive anchor positions, namely the flame bolts, ensure that they can't be held by the defense. That then does require the rest of the team to play around it and actually punish the reposition from the defense. We'll see where that's employed. Initially though, hard breach from the Selmas of Hamber on the ace. That will work out towards Karaoke. Canadian has found himself down below, and that's what we didn't see as much of from VP, was that lurk down below. DarkZero able to gain information, feed that to Canadian, or perhaps flush out defenders and force them into his line of sight down below. That could really aid their attacking efforts.
Yeah, we're not really seeing that from Virtus.pro right now. Big stack, mezzanine, dragon side. We see Pasha making his way back over towards site for Virtus.pro. Time already wasted a little bit. A minute and a half left. So you don't really need, at this point, to contest Tea Room Karaoke or even drum mezzanine. And for Virtus.pro, more than happy to just fall back here. Again, not really any kind of presence down below. If that continues for DarkZero, could be something that is advantageous. Joystick with a very aggressive position, at this doorway position. Just outside Dragon. Meaning that for DarkZero, if they want to push in, they do need to clear Joystick out. Right, Grenade will obviously do that by getting rid of the deployable shield, but Joystick not opting to fall off straight away. Continues to be a nuisance.
No pressure on that window position, though, from DarkZero, so Joystick will survive. 10 players alive then as we enter the final phase of the round. 40 seconds on the clock. Bolt to be used here by DarkZero. Can they capitalize? Well, the answers are resounding yes. Bolo for one. Pemba also gets in on the action. And DarkZero, this is a key round for them to confirm.
Yeah, and suddenly opens up the site now. Defense stretched thin for Virtus.pro. Joystick still over towards Dragon. Always Pasha on site, but outnumbered. Joystick with one. Couldn't get the second. Maybe not anticipating Bolo to be that close to NJR. 4-1. It's been the Bolo and Nave show. Always gets a critical kill. Creates the 1 versus 3. Can he find a way to create a couple of 1 versus 1? Pembazu doesn't need to continue to push because Bolo's right there. Really well worked from DarkZero. They find that essential attacking round. And now the pressure straight back onto Virtus.pro. A defense completely unlocked by sheer gunplay of DarkZero. Well worked, didn't rush. At no point did it seem like they wanted to get over-aggressive. Despite the timer ticking down, they looked cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, a couple of key plays there from DarkZero in unlocking the round. Off the back of the Capitao and the sharpness of Bolo, he was able to find one. Bolo then on the action again to trade out Joystick. Joystick hits 2 there and is able to lock down that Dragon position. Would have been quite difficult then for the rest of the team to push through, but he holds firm. Really good job on the IQ. And then able to confirm the last in the 1 versus 3. So Bolo hitting some great shots, finding some good form here on the 3rd map, really ramping it up as the series has gone on.
Yeah, those first 2 kills so critical because then it becomes that 5 versus 3. You kind of talk about things like split theory or whatever. Well, you can just use numbers advantage to obviously get those positions under control. You can kind of push Dragon, say, with a 2-on-1 advantage. You know you'll be able to get that trade. Even if one dies and it becomes that then one player surviving, you'll still then have that back push in towards site. 5-3. DarkZero 2 rounds away. Virtus.pro on the ropes now. But they are still on defense. Not impossible to think they still can't, of course, climb back into this one. But for DZ, a much-needed attacking round. Because just momentarily, with those 2 attacking rounds from VP, then a defensive round to begin, brought it back to 4-3. It just felt like, to me, momentum was starting to shift. But what a halt in that momentum from DZ in that last round.
There's similar tools then to be employed here from the attack in flushing out late round positions. I think DarkZero will be quite content in allowing it to come down again to a 5 versus 5. Bit of information. And then the likes of the Grim and the Capitao flush out positions, find picks, and make Virtus.pro feel uncomfortable. I think for VP, they'll be looking to disrupt that attacking pattern though. Maybe force some more fights this time around, whether that be up above or horizontally through the likes of Shepard. Dan though, like stairs. Not a single kill here on Skyscraper so far, but he holds a key part of the map for his team.
I think he's a key piece to the puzzle as well for Virtus.pro. Dan was great back on Chalet and Bank. Hasn't quite worked for him though here. Even losing that little battle against Canadian. Maybe more so a draw than anything and still holds that top Black Stairs position. So far for DarkZero, it's been Bolo. What a show he has put on for Skyscraper and just starting to activate at the right time at 6 Invitational. 15-3 in a critical match. To try and send DarkZero to the upper bracket final, he has stood to the occasion and risen above it. Especially when there's been question marks throughout this tournament from others. And the Grim making itself useful though with that Hive launcher and Pambazu wanting to go for the rush out of delivery. Shepard. Deployed. Does he even sense that he's in danger? So much danger ever present around him. Nate on this vert angle on the rappel, trying to get this kill, and that's exactly what DZ have been trying to do for the last minute or so. Just flush out these key positions up above, top floor. But Shepard still hasn't lost his life.
Dan as well, still alive. He's been holding up above and being a nuisance for DarkZero, who perhaps may have to cut their losses and instead focus their efforts on site, but they'll be aware that that pressure up above could come back to bite them. 50 seconds then on the clock. NJR still watching up above on flank watch. Canadian low on HP. He has a diffuser in hand. Some utility available if he elects to use it. One bolt in the pocket. More Hive launches to come through, and Shepard finally pinched.
Overwhelmed completely. Two different angles of attack. DarkZero getting themselves into really good positions to get these kills. But it's a 4 versus 3 and there's only 30 seconds left. Canadian needs to hit these shots through Kitchen onto Pasha. He survives. And now Canadian probably feels the heat inside of the Kitchen. Bolo, though, comes to the rescue with the kill onto Pasha. But there's only 15 seconds remaining in the 3-on-2. Canadian has to get the plant to essentially a 2-on-2. But Joystick, can he find the angle? Canadian, he gets off of it. Now into red time. And he goes Bolo again! He goes to 17 and 3. And Canadian will get the plant down. DarkZero should get the round, and therefore match and series point on the other side of it, unless always can clutch up. But he's not in the best position to do so. Not from here. You would not think. Yeah, Kit has been spotted, but it feels like it's so far away. DarkZero have all of the positions to deny any kind of 1v3 retake, despite the fact that Bolo and Canadian are so low. Nave wins this, and with that, DarkZero are now one round away from the upper bracket final.
What a play from Bolo. You could see Canadian frantically running around site, trying to find somewhere safe to plant. And despite eventually finding somewhere to plant, Joystick was able to change the landscape of the floor, create that line of sight down below, forcing him off. And the shots raining down were denied by a phenomenal shot there from Bolo. Here's a look back at that. And I tell you what, Joystick is not going to be happy with that.
Yeah, I think Joystick probably thinks that should have been a kill. And again, full credit, DarkZero, the way they set themselves up with those sight lines, able to get the crossfires going, pinching, over towards, say, delivery, for example. Virtus.pro just completely outnumbered, overwhelmed in those positions. DarkZero understood what they needed to do. A game plan was set and a game plan was executed. 6-3, 3 match and series points for DarkZero. 1 round away from an upper bracket final date with FaZe Clan in the arena with a Brazilian home crowd that would be against them.
10 seconds remaining.
But an opportunity that you would absolutely desire.
5 seconds left before insertion.
What a match that would be.
Attackers locate and use the bomb.
As Canadian continues his hunt for a third Six Invitational victory. Bolo jumping back into the competitive scene as well, looking for a second one. Tell you what, that is going to be one hell of a game on the live stage if that comes into fruition. FaZe with a lot of home support. DarkZero now with 3 opportunities in regulation to close this one out.
Yeah, and if they do, what a sensational way to do it as well. 3 attacking grounds. I mentioned it at the half, at the switch. If they were to do it and get it done, boy, it would be merited. And we've seen that. 2 attacking round wins in a row from DarkZero on the most defender-sided map against a team that defends a little bit better than you. A massive result here from DarkZero. For Virtus.pro now, cannot give up, cannot count this one as over. Back yourselves in. 3 rounds, it's not impossible. Certainly doable on the defense, just have to take it 1 round at a time. And I think the most critical thing for VP is, can they start to get a couple of opening kills? Can they start to put DZ on the back foot? Because right now, DarkZero, one thing they've done a really good job of so far here on Skyscraper is not losing players early. They're not rushing into the map. They're not too worried about their map control early on in the round. Flush out these positions, get these kills, wound Virtus.pro, force them back to site, and then make their way in. And they've been so clinical in that. Good droning as well here from Nave, and again, good droning in general from DarkZero compared to what we saw from Virtus.pro. The onus is on VP to turn this around. Defense 5 players up, minute 20. Who's going to stand to the occasion for Virtus.pro?
Well, the groundwork from DarkZero has been strong so far. But to be fair, they haven't been heavily contested by the defense. Virtus.pro seemingly happy again with another 5v5 execute at the death. But partial over peaks.
Bolo again.
Bolo up to 18 kills, hunting down 20 here on Skyscraper.
Well, this is a warning for the rest of the competition remaining. Bolo's here. He's arrived. Activated. 18 and 3 in a do-or-die cutthroat third map. 45 seconds left, and once again, Virtus.pro on the back foot. But some good shots into NJR mean that DarkZero still need to be careful of these entry points. And Dan on the rotate down below.
Canadian will be key late round. Hive launcher. You can see that utility being dumped Can Dan, though, hit a flank? 5 attackers left, so they need to be really conscious here. DarkZero, that flank is being mindfully watched. There is, of course, the Nomad on the board. 3 versus 3. But Bolo's still alive.
Yeah, he certainly is, and a big factor. He's been really good in these gunplays, up to 19 and 3. In a 2-on-3, Pampazoo got 1. Dan shuts down Bolo, though. No heroics in this round, and Virtus.pro live to fight another day. They win out the gun battles this time on site. Really strong in their defense, and not being overwhelmed by DarkZero. Not this time. And keeping themselves alive, offsetting the first of 3 match points. 2 more to go for VP.
Yeah, DarkZero, they're looking to open up T-Wall with the exothermic, and perhaps not having the player in the correct position to hold the swing. DarkZero was so close to preparing themselves for that final push, but Virtus.pro threw that disruption at them. It was a ballsy play, a confident play from the Legion, but it paid off. Big dividends there for Virtus.pro in that final round. Really good work on the defense. Had that breach have gone off, had that swing not come through, DarkZero should have confirmed the round.
Well, 2 more rounds to go. At the very least, 1 minimum, but Bolo onto the glass. 19 and 4. No one else on the side of DarkZero has got double-digit kills, and Bolo's almost got 20. Joystick, though, on the other side for VP has 11. He's been a bit of a standout for Virtus.pro. But I think it's Dan. 2 and 9. Started 0 and 8. If he starts to activate key position, key operator on the warden late in these rounds, stay alive, especially on Office and Exhibition, I think it becomes a lot more difficult then for DarkZero. The eyes on him. Already good signs from VP that they brought back a little bit of that strong on-site anchored defense that we saw a little bit of on Bank, and even at times of Chalet. Maybe not so much here on Skyscraper, but that round, yes, they brought it back. 2 more rounds, certainly doable. Again, very defender-sided map. DarkZero will have to continue to play at their very best, of which they have been doing.
So NJR down below and Zofia can impact up above and deny the bandit trick attempt. There is line of sight, and Shepard actually contesting.
Wow.
This is probably the most aggressive we've seen from VP in the early round defensively. Although Shepard will forfeit that position, breach opened up by the attack.
I do like that, though, at least from Shepard and for Virtus.pro. It's not like we're going to get bullied out of these positions. I'm going to take a few shots, but also wise enough to know that you can't really just sit inside a VIP for much longer. Joystick over towards Drum. Dan on the other side. Mezzanine pushing in back over towards Dragon. Drones coming through now as well from DarkZero, clearing out some of these positions in terms of information. Pampazoo now inside of makeup. Opens up sightlines towards the stairwell. Pampazoo, again, losing another drone. In fact, I think they just lost 3 or 4 drones in about the last 10 seconds. Down to 5 overall. Joystick continuing to maintain that position towards Drum. Feels like the most pivotal location on the map. Always also lurking down below. So a little bit more burst pressure here defensively from VP.
And Naif has this cut off. So Joystick will probably do or die in this Drum position. Fair chance he gets cut off on the rotation. Always as well.
Never mind, he's not below.
Big commitment here from Virtus.pro. Canadian rotates off. So perhaps DarkZero will bet their chances that Naif will catch a player or 2 on that rotation and they can get to work elsewhere.
Yeah, keeping that wall closed always on the bandit. Minute remaining. And this Drum position proving to be very difficult to push through. So maybe for DarkZero opting to go Dragon side. But Dan is watching and he's got that deployable shield. Flashes out, yeah, but he's got the glasses. No pressure from the window. Does have Pasha that could swing in from Dragon, and it is Pampazoo that falls to Joystick over towards Drum. Opening engagement being won again by Virtus.pro. And Dan as well wins out in Dragon. So both chokeholds successfully defended. Nate's just got to go fast through, deliver it down below, up the stairs, and straight to sight. Him and Canadian in a 2 versus 5. Difficult and noise made, courtesy of the barbed wire. We're going to 6-5. It's going to be all the way once again in this 3rd and decisive match. Credit to Virtus.pro for standing tall when it seemed like they were staring down the barrel of defeat. They have responded 2 rounds in a row. Still match and series point for DarkZero. For Virtus.pro, you win this, you send it to overtime, and therefore DZ have seen enough. They call timeout to discuss how they want to close this map. Now, mind you, every map so far has been 7-5, 7-5. Will that trend continue now for DarkZero?
Really well played by Joystick in that round just gone by. I said it was a do-or-die position. DarkZero either had to flush him out and force him into the cross from Naif on his way back towards the objective, or trade him out in that exact position. Unfortunately for DarkZero, unable to do either. So the plaudits to Joystick, who's now on 13 kills. The DarkZero then, as this 60 seconds comes to a close, what will they be discussing at the moment? Can they find a way to unlock Skyscraper and convert it on the attack?
Yeah, and in that round, the Dragon Hold, the Drum Hold, these are just key pillar positions really on Skyscraper. If you're going to go direct and you're going to go for that front contact, obviously it becomes not so much a 50-50, but you can't quite work your way through those areas as much. It's just going to come down to, can you hit some really good shots? Can you hit those angle shots? They couldn't. Really well held defensively by Virtus.pro. The loser of this game is going to feel really hard done by and go down to the lower bracket feeling as if they've really let an opportunity slip away. For either of these two teams, it doesn't really matter at this point who it is. If it's DZ, well, a couple of match points, third map, it'd certainly be feeling as if they rued their chances. If it's Virtus.pro, well, they've played well enough, all intents and purposes. Went 7-5 on Chalet in the opposition's map pick, won out their own map pick, and from a pretty decent deficit, able to bring themselves back here on Skyscraper, a map that many did not expect them to do well on. And both of these teams can hold their heads high for what's been a sensational match, but there can only be one winner. And as of right now, DarkZero still got that opportunity, that match point, at least overtime banked, if required, if necessary, at the hands of Virtus.pro, who are looking to send us to overtime.
DarkZero will be attacking in overtime, if required. Doesn't necessarily bode well for them statistically. See though if they can close it out here for another 7-5 between these two juggernauts in the upper bracket. The Twitch in play. Nave can chip away that utility. Elsewhere, Geisha open, uncontested. It is their joystick to hold this position down. A reinforcement, a castle barricade. So he's being tasked with holding a key part of the map. We saw it last round. On that occasion, Drum, good for a multi, change the complexion of it. Can DarkZero do a better job perhaps at contesting him this time around? Do they want to even contest him?
Yeah, and hate to say it because I don't really want this to be the Bolo show. He is 19-5. In the last two rounds that Virtus.pro won, he was unable to make an impact. And so I wonder then for DZ, how much of a win condition is it that Bolo just pops off here in this match point round? As much as he has been popping off already throughout this map, it hasn't quite been that Robin to the Batman that he is. 90 seconds left, and obviously, again, slow an approach for DarkZero, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. They are a slower-paced team, but they still get plants. They still get good attacking win rates. So don't be too dismayed by a slow push from DarkZero, because despite that, they're pretty efficient once they get towards site.
So the T extension then spotted. Double reinforcement. Shock drones are still up here for Nafe, but eventually chipped away at. Pamba lurking at the moment for any defenders that misstep. But Virtus.pro not entering their lines of sight.
Pasha. This is where you got to be careful as you're running around, and obviously sightlines being opened up, third angles outside on these windows. Pasha wants to get aggressive. Why not? I mean, why not at this point? How many times has VP gone for a bit of a counterpunch in these middle portions of the round when DZ are setting up? It might just work. It might just catch them off guard. Pasha in an off angle. Canadian slips in. Had no idea he was that close. So far advantage, but no. Pambazu with a double kill brings it back to a 3-on-3 with 30 seconds left. How fitting here in the match point round. Joystick has to win it. Oh, the timing! You could not make it up. He looks away. Gives up the Geisha position to NJR. And now with 25 seconds left, it's down to Dan and Always to try and salvage this for Virtus.pro. Kit recovered. Pambazu now going for a move to try and get into a better position with said Kit. Dan, red pings, the playoff, couldn't hit the shots. Knife. And for DarkZero, surely this is the moment, the very moment. Unless Always, are you serious? I cannot believe what I've just seen. Are you fucking kidding me? How the hell has he clutched it for Virtus.pro? All of 1 second remaining, and he's gone and done it and sent us to overtime. For a brief moment, it felt like DarkZero had done enough, but clearly not enough. We need more time in this epic conclusion of a match.
Not even Always can believe it. There was information inside of Kitchen. The plant could not go down there. The smoke to cover, but not enough. The 3 versus 1. It slips away for DarkZero. And as mentioned, they are attacking in overtime. So it only gets more challenging from here.
An incredible play, and this is why you never give up in these moments, in these rounds. Always understanding the situation and what it means for Virtus.pro and what that could mean now for DarkZero. Overtime we go. 6-6, and like you mentioned, it's that double defensive overtime now for Virtus.pro. We're already in that second half. They were able to do enough defensively to get themselves to this position. But we reset, guys. We have to reset now. Last round is gone. As great as that play was, and a play it was, it is now irrelevant. The focus now moves forward to begin this overtime. An upper bracket final position on the line. Both of these two teams are now 2 rounds away from taking on FaZe Clan in the arena.
I think if there's any team, though, that should have the ability to mentally reset, especially spearheaded by Canadian, it is this DarkZero roster. Of course, such a disappointment, so close to being able to win out this map. But to be fair, their attacks overall have actually looked okay. And if Bolo once again can be put in playmaking positions, that could be the difference maker in converting this. Pamba on the Mav. Can he combo with Nafe and find this kill into jump? DarkZero found it so challenging to dislodge joystick from this exact position last time. It's him and always. This could be a big part of the round. If this works out, if Nafe finds this kill, it could be the difference maker. Oh! And they do!
What's on a kill?
Always will fall. Shouldn't be a res, but it could be. We'll see.
Well, this is where Nate's got to be careful as well. You over-aggress this, maybe
Oh,
you
the
then
flame!
put yourself out of position. Always is back up, salvaged. Oh my goodness, talk about little inches and little moments. Joystick just killed the teammate he just revived while he was killing NJR. Talk about a collateral. I don't know what to make of that. It's a 4-on-4. You got the kill onto NJR, but you did have to sacrifice always. 90 seconds left. And suddenly the pressure starts to maybe get to some of these players because it is high stakes. Bolo down, but not out.
The pacing then pauses. Pamba not capturing anybody. But DarkZero do have drum control. Bolo falls, but he's picked up. Lurk potential late in the round, low on HP. Eyes on Dan now. He has found it very challenging here on Skyscraper, but once again, tasked with holding a key position on the Warden. Behind the deployable shield. If DarkZero cannot deal with this, they'll have no chance in contesting the objective itself.
Dan might have to get aggressive swing mezzanine because they've given up drums. Well, I haven't given up. It's been won over by DarkZero. So suddenly, Dan can't just hold Dragon. Otherwise, that drum position, as you can clearly see, gets overtaken. Bolo's back up. He is, though, low. So does Dan opt to maybe get aggressive? Push mezzanine, then eventually into drum. Go for that flank option. It is there if he wishes to. No one's pushing Dragon. There's no pressure on his position. 25 seconds in the round. Bolo holds the long angle, low on health. He could be an option to just send in and then trade him off anyway. The Maverick with the blowtorch to open up the final bit of sightlines into sight. Again, Dan is a man that can definitely change this round. Uncontested. Will he have an impact? Canadian bolts in. Dan does eventually get shut down by Pambazu. Shepard with a shotgun. Not what DZ want to see in a 1 versus 2 time. Canadian, get the plan down! Canadian, the plan has to go down! That kid needs to be on the ground! Virtus.pro have got overtime match point!
The utility coming up clutch there at the death. I can only assume a Goomine catching Canadian off guard, unable to get that plant down. They left it so late. I'm looking back now at the round, and I'm pretty sure he vaults in. Gets caught by the goo.
Yeah, Goomine.
Took a tick of damage, could not pull it out in time.
Wow.
I tell you what, this game is coming right down to the wire round after round.
I cannot believe a singular Goomine makes that much of a difference and the impact that it can have. 6-7, overtime match point. From 6-3 to 6-7, guys. There is that Goomine. Well, actually, I think there was another one that he stepped on. He did take a tick of damage right at the end. You can see it there. You can see it there. So not his fault in terms of that plant not being able to go down. More so the defensive hold from VP being paramount in winning that round. Unfortunately, though, again, you could question the time once again being a factor, guys. That's the biggest thing. That there was no time to then fix any kind of lethal errors that may have intruded on that attack. But DarkZero now for themselves go on the defense, and I'm going to be completely honest, the way this series is going, I'm expecting them to probably send us to a 15th round. It would be fitting.
The sense is going to be played here from Virtus.pro. The first time in this series. And directly into the Warden. It's one hell of a pick for Virtus.pro. Perhaps indicative that they'll be a little bit more direct in this round. Dan will kick things off. Bandit juggle from Bolo does land. So that's one exothermic now taken down. And Dan will rotate over toward the main wall to deal with that. We'll see if he immediately looks to deploy it. Again, there are footholds. So it shouldn't be all that challenging for DarkZero to contest that with the impacts of Canadian or Pamba. Far more direct though from Virtus.pro. You think about DarkZero and their willingness to clear out over towards Geisha side. Virtus.pro very much looking to strangle side itself quite early on.
6-3 to 6-7. Many would label that a choke. I think of it more as a dramatic comeback from Virtus.pro. One for the ages, off the back of a huge clutch from Always to send us to overtime. By the barest of margins, the slimmest of margins. But slim margins can go once again the Virtus.pro's way, with Dan getting the opening kill onto Nafe, and now off of the ROUs.
What the hell?
It's a sight hit immediately from Virtus.pro. Off of these screens, denying the vision to DarkZero, and Joystick goes deep for the plant. And if this plant is successful, it might just be the match. Nitrocell from Bolo, and hits the mark from downtown. He takes out Joystick, and they lose Pasha. And with that, we may just very well go the distance. What a Nitrocell with little vision, little information. But VP have already clutched up before and can still do with 60 seconds left. A 2 versus 3. Because of that fast rush, there's still time.
Diffuser though on an island, very awkward position for Dan to try and collect. A lot of lines of sight established here by the defense, but Dan has been allowed to cross. Can Shepard cover?
Can he plant? Can he plant uncontested? 2 impacts for Canadian on the Solar. Someone to, of course, can get that information. Information that could be so pivotal. 40 seconds is all that now is left. Down a player for VP. With DC, that can still have sightline information in towards the site. Canadian is the one, though, that can get the primary information as to where this is being planted on the table. Impact to at least get some vision. Can't get him because he's on top of that table, but can he find an angle of attack? And of course, he can provide said information. It's a double stack down below. Shot in the bum. Forced off momentarily. Where's Shepard? Can he get involved?
Shotgun.
Not really. Shotgun from NJR down below. The pressure keeps mounting. Pampazoo over towards Dragon. Could also opt to get involved at this point because there's no time left. Dan has to stick. Goes for the rotate. And Pampazoo's going to get the headshot. What pressure from below? No time left, and a 15th round is well and truly required in this epic match between 2 juggernauts of this scene.
We keep talking about the Solace in this matchup, just how impactful it's been. Now, typically, it's been from the early to mid-round in cutting down the drone economy, but the team play there from DarkZero, knowing exactly where that plant's going down, in combination with the impacts and the shotgun, the uncertainty that planted in the minds of the remaining members of VP to force them into a plant position that they did not know they could cover. What a round. 7-7, the scoreline. The winner to continue their run in the upper bracket.
Yeah, and it was that moment there off the fast rush with the ROU from the Sands going forward, going deep to get that plant. Again, if it's successful, the retake was always going to be difficult for DZ.
I mean, what a nitro from Bolo as well. Despite the Warden going down first, DarkZero bring the round back. Again, with the sense in play, Warden is the biggest win condition for the defense. Despite that, Bolo, huge clutch play, 20 kills, and arguably that 20th, perhaps the biggest in this series.
Pretty simple. You win this round, you're going to an upper bracket final match against FaZe Clan in the main stage. You lose this round, you find yourself in the lower bracket, but at least still on the main stage. The stakes are still quite high. 7-7 into the 15th round, where both teams have been so difficult to separate, with DarkZero winning out 7-5 on Chalet, their own map pick, and vice versa as well for Virtus.pro 7-5 on Bank, their own map pick. And these two have treated us to one of the best matches that we've seen at this Six Invitational, and one that could have huge ramifications. Rotero from Nafe, very efficient. Vulcan canister destroyed along with the barbed wire. Shepard holds the angle. And we go to T-Room and Karaoke to close this one out. Virtus.pro on the defense, but Pasha over towards Exi and Office. keeping pressure on in terms of entry denial against DZ.
No dedicated hard flank watch here for DarkZero, like a Nomad or a Gridlock. R6 is in play. Huge wild card here for Virtus.pro. Joystick has stepped up in so many rounds in this series. He's been a key player. And with the opportunity of him to maybe flank late in the round, DarkZero will need to be mindful of that. But all focus currently on clearing the map across. Pasha to hold down the line. He's played well thus far. Needs to chip away at this drone economy though. Flashes to come through from DZ.
Pasha to take the early contact. Is he going to be for white? No! Pambazoo thought it was cleared to push in, but it was never. Pasha, good reposition. Now they may look to try and overload set position. Grim Hive Launcher doing its job, and he is red pinged out. Bolo gets the final kill with the nade, but Joystick elsewhere was able to trade out and get Nave, keeping that advantage in the hands of Virtus.pro. With that, now can go back to site in a 4-on-3. Under 90 seconds remaining in the round. Dan is low. The VP have the numbers. NJR now makes his way over towards that Geisha balcony to try and put pressure.
Defense vacating. Back towards the objective. Canadian confirms that on a drone as Geisha is opened up. Very difficult to see DarkZero bring this round back, but not impossible. Star players still alive. Canadian, the two-time Bolo, seeking his second as well. And we'll see if they can concoct something special here. They have a minute to work with.
Only 3 drones, and they're using those right now towards the end. 45 seconds is all that's left. Canadian drone through Geisha and along with Drum. The push in now comes through and towards makeup from NJR. Next kill, absolutely pivotal for DarkZero. They need the numbers to even up heading in towards site. Of course, NJR's position inside of Geisha now well and truly known. Double stack over towards Drum from Canadian and Bolo. The old duo, here we go. What can they find? One last time. The clutches from Virtus.pro sent us to this position. Is there one back now from DZ? Because it feels as if they're on the ropes right now. Pressured significantly with gas babes in their face. And entry proving to be quite difficult. And time the biggest factor. Canadian gets sneaky through the drone hole. But it's Bolo with the opening kill. On to Dan. Red time. Need to get the plant down. Canadian the man to do it. Always caught on the stairs though. They don't account for him. Neither Shepard and Virtus.pro will offset DarkZero from 6-3. They take it 8-7 and send DZ to the lower bracket, booking their beautiful date with FaZe Clan in the main arena.
VP, hold on. Too strong on defense. What a performance. It looked so close towards the end, and DarkZero fought as hard as they possibly could, but it wasn't enough. What a series though. 2 Titans going head to head, and sets us up for some amazing storylines for the remainder of SI24.
Certainly does. What a tremendous match from both teams needs to be said. Really does. It doesn't just come down to that one round. So much put. Blood, sweat and tears from both the whole way through. Pasha holding his heart, probably feeling that pump. And just the nerves, the adrenaline, probably coursing through the veins of all 10 players for putting on an absolute spectacle. But again, it all started on Chalet, going all the way back, 7-5 win for DZ. They were clinical in the clutch, guys. That was the storyline that was brewing. Bank, yes, won by Virtus.pro, largely the better team. But the clutch moments, it felt like we're constantly going DZ's way. They go up 6-3. They have a 1v3 plan. Denied. Well, I think it was 6-5, but you get the point. Denied, sent us to overtime.
Yeah.
Lost for words a little bit here and just wanted to soak it in for what was clearly just one of the matches, if not the match of the tournament, with the way that it shaped up. Bolo, the return of Bolo, his best match, obviously, of the entire tournament as well.
Yeah, both teams really playing at 110% throughout this matchup, and there were just so many key pivotal moments that went both ways throughout the match, and that's why it was so close towards the end. Can't help but feel bad for DarkZero, right? They get attacked in overtime, which is so rough.
It was always going to be the case, though.
But it never should have gone to OT ultimately, right?
No.
3 versus 1, and a huge clutch from Always to drag his team across the line and then rightly winning it out on D.
Yeah, 6-3, 6-4. Those 2 defensive round wins for Virtus.pro, pretty normal in nature, I feel like. Default kind of defensive. Here's the clutch. 1 versus 3 for those that missed it. I mean, get the first kill onto Nave, you get the plant denial. NJR could never get involved. He was holding the vert angle, and he was holding that angle simply for when that plant went down. That's the win condition. So he's not in a bad spot. He hasn't done anything wrong there. But you classify it as a 1v3. In essence, it's a 1v2. And even then, one's planting. So yes, it was always available for always, but he still had to hit the shots. He still had to get through that doorway, and he still had to hit someone inside of a smoke who was planting. One of the better clutches, one of the better comebacks for Virtus.pro. They dropped that first map, and ever since then, they started to really bring it home. 8-7, third map of Skyscraper. There were concerns, you mentioned it a couple of times, that this third decisive map was going to go the way of DZ. And evidently enough, you always, at this point in the tournament, want to throw out that historical data. It means nothing.
Of course, it's not all said and done for DarkZero, but they will have a date in the lower bracket with the winner of G2 and Bliss.
Coming up very shortly. Don't miss it.
Coming up after this. We're going to need a break after that match because that was very, very crazy. So not, the end of the world for DarkZero. Again, they'll be disappointed at the way in which this series played out.
I honestly think it could steal them. Now, mind you, for those watching, we are not American.
Really?
We're not. I hope you can tell by our voice. But I honestly think a match like this, because of how close it was, and obviously you give all of the plaudits to Virtus.pro. Therefore, if the fact that DZ were one round away from beating them, you have to also then, vice versa, give all of the plaudits to DarkZero. I think it was probably the best game of Siege we've seen this tournament. There weren't that many mistakes. Yeah, obviously, you play so many rounds. What did we play, like 40 rounds of Siege? There's going to be little moments here and there, absolutely. But this is why you get to this point. There's 8 teams remaining. You're going to get this kind of quality down moving forward. And so obviously, yeah, upsetting for DarkZero, but I think for them moving into that lower bracket, they are now the formidable team. They are now the team that G2 and or Bliss now look forward to and go, oh, geez, we got to go through DarkZero.
Yeah, I mean, they look really, really scary. Both of those teams, I think, could have the potential to make a run through that lower bracket, maybe even get themselves a stamp in the grand final as well and have an impact. Main stage, though, brings a whole world of different pressure, different variables. I will say, DarkZero, a couple of their players been in those situations before, namely Canadian Bolo, both played well today. So we'll see, of course, if they can make that run on the main stage. This bracket has been insane. The tournament overall, SI24, has been an absolute banger so far, and I cannot wait to see how it concludes.
Yeah, and obviously Virtus.pro, sensational. I mean, I've been able to have the pleasure of casting them throughout a couple of games now throughout this tournament. I think they've just gotten better and better each time. You think back to their very first match against Liquid, lost that one, and there were some inconsistencies. And they've clearly worked on that. They've clearly tinkered. They've clearly been able to improve as the tournament's gone on to get to that level. Where, as you said, I think both teams are playing at 110%, and to clutch it up again, really showing their resilience, down 6-3, fought back really hard in that third map. Let's go to some of the highlights, though, of course. Yeah, for this particular series, it has been a tremendous game, and I hope was able to enjoy them. Oh. Well, I mean, I guess we're just going to highlight that play. I think that's going to get absolutely replayed over and over again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, an incredible clutch, right? And but the context surrounding it, you lose that fight, you're sent into the lower bracket, but they hold on. Obviously, then again, defense, OT, phenomenal performance. We have a look at the match summary then, and the numbers across the board, a pretty consistent spread, not too many huge outliers. Bolo stepped it up massively, map 3.
I mean, look at the numbers here. Now, mind you, there might be some that look at Canadian's EPS rating, but he was playing supportive roles. He was playing a Solus, getting rid of drones. He was playing Grim, sending in hive launches. He was playing positions that required him to probably put his gun away. So it's very easy to just look at some of those numbers and be like, oh, Canadian is the weak link. Like, he had massive impact in that game. I just want to point that out, simply preemptively, if you will, because everyone else, obviously, as you can see in terms of the numbers, everyone was insane, pulling their weight across the board. It was just very much the match of the tournament for me. Looking forward, of course, now, Virtus.pro, FaZe Clan in the arena in an upper bracket final matchup where VP will well and truly not have the fans on their side. That will be FaZe. In terms of DarkZero, of course, they now go to the lower bracket. The good news for them, though, is, of course, we will still see them in that arena. The question is, who is their opponent? Well, we will find out when we come back from the break as we begin G2 versus Bliss.